the political system in India that we have. I hope everyone know that there is something called state. State is a legal concept here, which means a territory having a population ruled by a Chaliye, so let us begin. The first news is with respect to Office of Governor, polity news. Settle down. Office of Governor. थोड़ा सा हो गया, शुरू करें. So first we need to understand a bit about the political system in India that we have. I hope everyone know that there is something called state. State is a legal concept here, which means a territory having a population ruled by a sovereign. And it evolved under which treaty? Treaty of Westphalia. We know this. There was a war in Europe. At this point, always understand whatever you study in polity particularly is nothing more than European social sciences. Majorly all concepts were brought in Europe, and it has a long history, and everything evolved in a particular context. Later on, when Europeans captured the world, they took these values and they spread to the world. That's how the world get these values. But there is a problem that societies are traditional, but state became modern. That's India के case में. Indian society is traditional, but Indian state is modern because it is an artificially imposed state during colonialism by Britishers. यहाँ तक समझ में आया? It evolved in Europe. Europe में हमें पता है there was a 30-year war between whom? The church and the state. At that point of time, there used to be kings and the queens, and they challenged the church because पहले क्या होता था? Church medieval time में the religion was everything. The Pope was dictating everything. So the state, king and the queens, they challenged the church and they said, if I control this land, then how come you dictate me? A long war ensued. The church fought against the state. State here means the king and the queen, not the modern state. Ultimately, after the end of 30-year war in 1648, we signed a treaty known as Treaty of Westphalia. Westphalia is a place in Germany. In this treaty, this will come again in the last news that we have on UN peacekeeping forces. Again, it will come. So understand at this point of time, Treaty of Westphalia laid the foundation of modern state. Ye wala state. What are the biggest features of this state? Most important, they have a territory. What kind of territory? Fixed. पहले नहीं होता था. Earlier there used to be empires which used to expand and contract. But after this, it became very clear that state will have more or less the fixed territories. First thing. Second thing, it gave birth to a notion of sovereignty vested in which? The government itself, not the religion. Before Treaty of Westphalia, the religion was sovereign. After Treaty of Westphalia, the government exercising sovereignty on behalf of state. इसका भी याद रखिए, government is not state. Government is just an element of the state that is exercising sovereignty of the state. So भारत माता और भारत सरकार दोनों अलग अलग हैं. ठीक है, please remember this. So government was created and government exercised sovereignty on behalf of the state. That's why government is changeable, but state is not. इसलिए every court case उसमें हम क्या लिखते हैं? XYZ versus Union of India. State of India. हम ये नहीं लिखते government of India या state government of Kerala, government of this. We write the word Union of India because you file case against state itself. यहाँ तक सबको समझ में आया? Please remember. So two important things happen in Treaty of Westphalia. Number one, a fixed territory-based state came into existence. Second element, the government became the sovereign rather than the religion. Third thing, it was agreed in the Treaty of Westphalia that state is supreme where? In international affairs. Third point हमने जो agree करा, that who is sovereign in international affairs? States are sovereign. Means there is no world government. That's why you call it inter state relations. Why you call it interstate relations? But today we do not live in interstate relations world because you have supranational bodies like United Nations. जिसे हम discuss करेंगे last news में. So you have supranational bodies. So today it is right to say we live in a world affairs. It is no longer interstate affairs or international affairs. It is world affairs. We are living in a global world because in today's world, not only states are sovereign, there are so many elements which are above the states. जैसे यूरोप में अगर हम बात करें, यूरोप में you have European Union, which is sovereign over the state. It can even penalize the states for not obeying. जैसे इकोनॉमी में आप करेंगे, एक पिक्स क्राइसिस हुआ था, पोर्टुगल, इटली, ग्रीस एंड स्पेन. So European Union penalized the PIGS country for violating the treaty and agreements. सेम केस में आपको याद होगा कुलभूषण जाधव का एक केस हुआ था इंडिया पाकिस्तान के बीच. He was arrested by Pakistan in the name of espionage. Then India took this to the ICJ, International Court of Justice, which said to the Pakistan that hold the death penalty. सोचिए, there is a body above the state which can order the state to hold something they consider sovereign. सबको क्लियर है? तो प्लीज रिमेंबर दीज 3 पॉइंट. हाँ, सॉवरन के बीच में बिल्कुल होता है, बट व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज नाउ states are not the only actor. So it is wrong to say we are living in international relations world. We are living in global world where states are still the main bodies. In the world affairs, states are still the main bodies, but we have other bodies also which constrain the ability of the state. कौन कर सकता है? इस अब इसमें अंडरस्टैंड करते हैं, नहीं कर सकता, डिपेंड करता है टीटी कैसी है. जैसे कुलभूषण जाधव का मैंने आपको केस बताया. कुलभूषण जाधव में इंडिया चला गया किसके पास? एक बॉडी है जिसका नाम है आईसीजे, इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस. इट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशन सिस्टम. इंडिया क्यों चला गया? बिकॉज आईसीजे में ओनली स्टेट्स कैन गो, सॉवरन स्टेट्स कैन गो टू आईसीजे. हाउ कम इंडिया वेंट देयर? Because we had signed a treaty known as Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. In that treaty, we wrote a line that if there is any dispute between the signatory of this convention about application of the convention, then ICJ will be the arbitration authority. इसलिए we could go to ICJ. अगर उसमें लाइन नहीं लिखी होती that ICJ is the arbitration authority, तो फिर हम नहीं जा पाते. डिपेंड करता है under whose jurisdiction you have negotiated an agreement. सबको समझ में आ रहा है? प्लीज रिमेंबर दिस. इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूं states are still the most important part of international affairs, most important part, but nonetheless their ability are constrained nowadays. There are numerous institutions, World Trade Organization, that constrain your ability to give subsidies. अभी हम पीएम किसान इसके बात करेंगे. उस पीएम किसान इसीलिए लाई गई थी because पीएम किसान does not violate WTO agreement. If India violates WTO agreement, anyone can drag India into WTO and then the other country can reciprocate. To avoid that, we are like give subsidy directly. Do not give agricultural subsidy. Next न्यूज में समझेंगे. तो तीन एलिमेंट सबको समझ में आए. Treaty of Westphalia that evolved in 1648 after the 30 Years' War led to three big evolution in world affairs in political concepts. Number one, state having territory. What kind of territory? More or less fixed territory came into being. The sovereignty was no longer by with church. The sovereignty went to the government. And third element, that in world who is sovereign, state is supreme. इसी को आप आईआर में कहते हैं बिलियर्ड बॉल मॉडल. बिलियर्ड बॉल्स खेला आपने, वो पूल जो होता है. तो बिलियर्ड बॉल में इमेजिन दैट एंटायर टेबल एज द वर्ल्ड, द बॉल्स एज द स्टेट. सो व्हेन द बॉल्स इंटरेक्ट दे एक्सर्ट फोर्सेस ऑन ईच अदर. उसके अलावा वहां पे कोई कंट्रोल नहीं करता. दिस इज कॉल्ड बिलियर्ड बॉल मॉडल. आर वी लिविंग इन बिलियर्ड बॉल मॉडल? नो, because nowadays states are not the true sovereign. There are other sovereigns also. जैसे यूनाइटेड नेशन, इफ यू साइन एन अग्रीमेंट अंडर यूएन, यू ओबाइड बाय. जैसे हम अभी लास्ट न्यूज में करेंगे, यूनाइटेड नेशन कैन penalize any state under chapter 6 and chapter 7 of UN charter including use of armed forces, जैसे हुआ था लीबिया के केस में. ठीक है. मुझे तो आइडिया नहीं किसने मीडिएट किया है. मैंने देखा नहीं है किसने मीडिएट किया. किसी को आइडिया है? कतर ने मीडिएट किया है, हो सकता है। ओ, हाँ ठीक है, वो देख लेंगे, इस पे आते हैं पहले। यहां तक आपको समझ में आया, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट एंड एवरीथिंग। अब समझते हैं व्हाट हैपेंड व्हेन स्टेट बिकेम सुप्रीम ओवर द चर्च, देन वी टर्न टुवर्ड द स्टेट। हमने बोला यू वर एंजॉयिंग टू मच सॉवरेनिटी, वी divided the state then into three parts: judiciary, executive, and legislature. We were like, kingship will not apply. Now the people will decide. And the best example is Magna Carta in Britain. It was a kind of war ensued between the merchants and the king of Britain. The merchants of the Britain defeated the king and they made him sign an agreement. In that agreement, king agreed that he will not impose any taxation without the will of the people. So it is considered as the seed of the democracy that you know today. पहली बार ऐसा हुआ था कि किंग्स पावर वाज circumcised. सबको समझ में आया? That has led to the evolution of what you call today's democracy. So this is what I wanted to tell you. Democracy में particularly we have two types: presidential and parliamentary democracy. India is a case of parliamentary democracy because British ruled over us and we were very obedient to Britishers. So we obeyed, and obeyed in the form of we accepted their form. We were like, आपने बहुत अत्याचार किया, हमें मजा आया, ठीक है, we like kinky things, so we will have this parliamentary democracy. Clear यहाँ तक? अब let's understand what is in parliamentary democracy. Parliamentary democracy में you have something called executive, but executive is divided into two parts: permanent executive and temporary executive, या political executive we call it. Temporary executive is the political class which is chosen by the people. Permanent executive is you, civil servants. They are supposed to run on as per the command of temporary executive. The political class, whatever command they give you, you must obey. Why? Because they represent the will of the people, you don't. So you have to obey. When you obey them, you are not obeying a person, you are obeying the people themselves. That's how parliamentary democracy functions. यहाँ तक समझ में आया? Now within this there is a problem. India में, because we borrowed this system from Britain. अब Britain में you have a monarch. Britain में there is a monarch, but we cannot have a monarch. We are a republic. What do we mean by the word republic? Republic means a setup in which every position from top to bottom are available to everyone. It is not hereditary. It's a Britain में only the royal blood can become the monarch. India में ऐसा नहीं है. Anyone can become anyone. That's why we use the word Republic of India. जैसे पाकिस्तान अपने को क्या बोलता है? Islamic Republic of India. ये क्यों? Because the president and the prime minister of Pakistan cannot be anyone else except Muslim. तो कहते हैं कि any Muslim can become president and prime minister, but any Muslim, that's why Islamic Republic. However, it's an alienation of the word. Republic itself means that anyone can become any position if you are talented sufficiently enough. याद है समझ में? But Britain में there was a monarch. We cannot have a monarch. So we wanted same system. So we replaced monarch with president of India. And the way monarch function in Britain, like a nominal head, he just signs whatever is passed by the government. Similarly, you have president of India. He is nothing more than a rubber stamp. Ethically speaking, or anyway speaking, academically speaking, the president of India is nothing more than a rubber stamp, and it should be nothing more than rubber stamp. The junior replica of president is governor. अब पर एक छोटी सी प्रॉब्लम देखिए, गवर्नर इज नाउअडेज गवर्नर इज नॉट अ ऑनरेबल पोजीशन, इट इज अ स्लैंग. किसी को गाली देनी हो तो बोल दो तुम गवर्नर हो क्या, ठीक है? Why? Because it is so dishonored position in India, so dishonored. You pick any constitutional position, governor is the least honorable position. As such, according to Ambedkar, governor is just like the president at the level of state. He just like the president. He signs the bill, he obey the command of council of minister, but in real life the scenario is very different. याद है समझ में? अब समझते हैं न्यूज़ क्या थी. So the news was that recently there was a friction between the governor of several states and the state government. State government means council of minister. What is a minister? Minister is an MP who is the part of the government. In state case, minister is an MLA who is the part of the Government here means council of ministers. Okay. So recently, for example, Tamil Nadu governor chosen to withhold the assent to the specific bills approved by Tamil Nadu Legislative Assembly. On this, Supreme Court, the moral hypocrite, said that there are serious concern over the governor's lack of action regarding bill submitted to his approval. But Supreme Court ने बोला आपने जो किया morally गलत किया, कहने का मतलब ये है. Second thing happened in case of Kerala also. The governor of Kerala did the same thing. अब the question comes is how come governor are doing this? President ऐसा कभी नहीं करता. How come governor can do this? For that we need to understand constitutional provisions. Provision number 1, Article 153. It says that the governor shall be appointed for each state by the president, or for multiple states same governor can serve. It is up to the president of India. Second, the governor is a constitutional head of the state and obliged to follow the advice of council of minister. Why is it so? Same reason president ka. The president in India behaves just like a monarch in Britain, just to obey whatever the council of ministers tells him or her to do. Same in this case, the president of India or the governor of any state are nothing more than a rubber stamp. They should do whatever the council of ministers says, because council of ministers represents the will of the people. Governor or the president does not. President is elected, but indirectly. Governor to even not elected person. Governor is an appointed authority. And in a democracy, an elected authority must always be powerful over an appointed authority. That's the difference, that we have kept everyone below the politicians. In India, it doesn't matter what you become, doctor, engineer, IAS, whatever you become, you will always serve under a politician. They should be the most powerful point. Why? Because they represent the will of the people and everyone else does not. Yahan tak clear hua? So second thing, he acts as a crucial link between the union government and the state government. And why is it so? Because under Article 157, 58, the eligibility requirements are mentioned. The eligibility in the constitution is the governor shall be the citizen of India. Bas. This is the problem. The only qualification to become the governor is you should be the citizen of India. Remaining, there is no qualification except age 35 years of age. Uske alawa, there is no qualification. So it means that the government, the union government can appoint anyone. This started with Janata Party. When Indira Gandhi was in power, she abused her authority very beautifully. After this, the Janata Party came into power. They removed all the governor appointed by Congress government. And since then, a tradition has become. Whenever the government changes at the union, all governors are changed, irrespective of their functioning, until unless they are loyal to the government. Okay? There's a Najib Jung in Delhi's case. He was not changed with Modi government because he was like, I have no loyalty except for power. ठीक है, तो जो भी powerful है मैं उसे सर्व कर देगा बिना पूछे. Next. तो eligibility में problem समझ में आई? It gives only one eligibility, that is you should be citizen of India with 35 years of age and more. Remaining, there is no eligibility. So government can appoint anyone. Nehru was of the opinion that government should appoint neutral people with no active political background. But government every time is like, ये कौन सुनता है? They are like, हम तो किसी को भी appoint करेंगे. And 99% of time governors are the political favorites. Retired IAS officer, military officer, judicial officers, failed politicians. जैसे पुदुचेरी case में you had a person called Kiran Bedi. She failed in Delhi, so she has like, चलो governor बन जाती हूँ पुदुचेरी की. People with criminal cases can also become governor. Yes, they can become anything. Prime Minister बन जाएंगे. Until unless proved. Having a criminal case is different. Being proved criminal is different. बाकी कोई परवाह नहीं करता वैसे. There are a lot of governors who are fanciful. I think कर्नाटका का पता नहीं कौन सा governor था. ठीक है, तो he was having some fanciful activities in the governor house that were captured in CCTV cameras. ठीक है, तो ऐसे भी लोग होते हैं. चलिए fine. Next, the governor appoints the chief minister and other minister as outlined in Article 164. The governor shall appoint the chief minister, and on advice of the chief minister, the governor shall appoint remaining ministers. So these provisions are clear. The appointment mein there is no eligibility criteria, and the president of India appoints on the recommendation of basically the prime minister. So simple maniye, the prime minister chooses the governor. Second thing, in terms of powers, the governor should obey the council of minister, but governor is not directly accountable. So governor also obeys the union government. Article 200 provides the power whenever a bill is passed by the state legislature, it shall be presented to the governor. Same way, whenever a bill is passed by the parliament, it shall be presented to the president to sign the bill. This tradition we have borrowed from Britain. Britain में यही होता है. Whenever a bill is passed by the legislature, the monarch signs it. But we don't have a monarch, so we have presidents and governor. अब समझते हैं, but is the problem with councils of minister. There is an article 163. It says that council of minister headed by the chief minister shall aid and advise the governor. Same provision is for president. There shall be a president who shall be aided and advised by the council of minister headed by prime minister. In this case, the governor shall be aided and advised by the council of minister headed by chief minister. Now what is the problem? Problem is this same article add one another line, except in the cases where he has to exercise discretion. ये line president के case में नहीं है. Governor के case में we have added another line in the article. President case में the president shall be aided and advised by the council of minister headed by prime minister. Bas. In governor's case we have extra line that he shall be aided and advised by the council of minister headed by chief minister, except in the circumstances he shall exercise his discretion. अब what is this discretion? ये clear नहीं है, because it says whatever will be the governor discretion is the discretion of governor. Means what is governor's discretion shall be decided by governor himself. कि what is my discretion? Discretion means मन चाहे चीजें करना. At will you are doing something. This is the problem, that governor, what happens, whatever is told by the council of minister of the state to the governor withhold it, not because there is some legality involved, but because there is politics involved. In this case, Tamil Nadu में क्यों हुआ ये सब? Because Tamil Nadu में the party was there, it was supporting BJP government until recently. Recently they have withdrawn the support to BJP government. तो government like अब मैं तुम्हें बताती हूँ, and the governor is like सब कुछ मैं hold कर लेगा. Something we call pocket veto. Why? Because Article 200 and 201 deals with signing of state bills. Article 200 says whenever a bill is passed, it shall be presented to the governor for signing, except in the cases the governor reserves the bill for the president. In that case, Article 201 applies. If governor reserve a bill for the president, then only president signs the bill, even for the state government. In that, the Article 201 applies. But there is a catch here. There is no time limit. So two things we understood. Pehla, there is a discretionary power with the governor mentioned in the constitution, something president does not have. Second, there is no time limit for signing the bill. So the governor can delay signing the bill forever. That is the power they use, something we call pocket veto. However, this power is available to the president also. Pocket veto is something is available to everyone. It is a discretion. अब आप फोर्स थोड़ा ना कर सकते किसी को साइन करने के लिए. You cannot force the governor to sign anything. You cannot force the president to sign anything. But then question ये आता है, why such powers? नहीं होता, किसी के पास नहीं होता. बेसिक लॉजिक क्या है कि प्रेसिडेंट और जो आपने एग्जांपल दिया, व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम हियर? द प्रॉब्लम हियर इज पॉलिटिकल बायसेस वर्क्स. ठीक है, यू आर नॉट स्टॉपिंग अ बिल. मेन प्रॉब्लम ये है कि यू आर नॉट स्टॉपिंग अ बिल for ethicality, for legality, for morality. You're stopping a bill just because your political reasons dictate. But president में फिर भी इतनी power नहीं है. President usually does not behave this way, except for some example like Gyani Zail Singh, APJ Abdul Kalam. इनको अगर आप हटा दें, तो generally president does not behave this way. Governor also behave this way. Always they behave this way. Why? But question is, why we created such kind of governorship? Because when India got independence, Constituent Assembly में there was a debate. Should we have governor just like the president, elected indirectly by the legislature of state? जैसे president elect होता है, elected indirectly by the legislature of the state, removed by the legislature by impeachment process, जैसे president को remove करा जाता है. But at that point of time, understand, India was dealing with numerous problems. South में language movement was going on, Northeast में insurgency was going on, annexation of princely states was going on. So we were concerned. We were like, if we give governor independence like president, so that independent governor can sign any bill of the legislature. मान लेते हैं कल तमिलनाडु passes a bill या नागालैंड passes a bill of independence from India. A governor is not appointed by the union government, a person controlled by the union government, तो वो तो साइन कर देगा बिल को. Then the Nagaland will claim that we have legal right to be separated. We are having a referendum in Nagaland. So we appointed such kind of governors. We had such a mechanism in which governors are controlled by the union. इसलिए हम इस provision को लाए थे. But these provisions were necessary in 1950. They are no longer necessary today. Today we are a mature democracy, and mature democracy में such power should not be with anyone. It's high time we should amend this constitution and remove discretionary powers of governor. At least as सरकारिया कमीशन नीचे यहाँ पे है. वैसे पहले सुप्रीम कोर्ट इंटरप्रिटेशन देख लेते हैं. सुप्रीम कोर्ट in पुरुषोत्तम Nambudiri case clarified that the bill's assent by the pending governor does not lapse. Means whenever the state legislature dissolve means its term has ended. In that case, the bill will not lapse. It will stay with the governor until signed. Next, in Samsher Singh case, Supreme Court established that governor power to reserve a bill for president's consideration is a discretionary power. मतलब दो चीजें सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने क्लियर करी. पहला, a bill signed to the governor for signing will not lapse even if the legislature lapses. Second thing, the bill once sent to the president's consideration, it is a discretionary power of governor. Governor जब चाहे कोई भी बिल भेज सकता है. अब हाँ 201 वाला 201 जब आता है जब रिजर्व कर लिया. 200 में रिजर्व होता है, 201 में प्रेसिडेंट पे पावर चली जाती है. तो प्रॉब्लम मैंने आपको बता दी. प्रॉब्लम इज abuse of power by the center. They appoint their favorites. They remove anyone who disobey. Politicians and former bureaucrats are often appointed. There is a puppet rulership. We know they violate moral code of conduct. They basically interfere with the government if the union is different. यूनियन में अगर बीजेपी है, कांग्रेस के भी ऐसे हालात है. ऐसे नहीं कांग्रेस ने कुछ अच्छे काम किए हैं. इवन व्हेन कांग्रेस वाज इन पावर दे बिहेव द सेम वे विद अदर स्टेट. हाँ, आप ये जरूर कह सकते हैं कि दिस गवर्नमेंट में देयर इज टू मच इंटरफेरेंस. ये कह सकते हैं सम गवर्नमेंट में देयर इज टू मच इंटरफेरेंस, सम गवर्नमेंट में देयर इज लेस इंटरफेरेंस. बस गवर्नर यूजिंग गवर्नर फॉर इंटरफेयरिंग इन द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट इज कॉमन इन एवरी गवर्नमेंट व्हिचएवर गवर्नमेंट कम्स इनटू पावर इन यूनियन. हाँ तो वो तो है ही. पॉलिटिकल रीजंस बताया ना, अब तुमने नाम ले लिया बस, बाकी और कुछ नहीं था. That is the reason. This is the problem with every state. Or I am guaranteeing you, when Congress will come into the power, they will behave the same way with the BJP. They are like, you harassed us. Now it's our time. Let's play. This is the problem. Who is the defeated party here? We, the people. They are making mockery of a constitutional position. All parties. That's why I told you this is a high time we should amend the constitution. High time. Remove all discretionary power of the government. Make governor exact replica of the president. ठीक है, that is the suggestion. देख लेंगे. So an SR Bomay case, Supreme Court clearly emphasized that floor test of the assembly shall be the sole forum to test the majority of the government. क्योंकि पहले क्या होता था, मन चाह गवर्नर किसी को इनवाइट करता था, रिमूव कर देता था, इनवाइट करता रिमूव कर देता. एंड ऐसा नहीं, इट इज ओनली बीजेपी, कांग्रेस गवर्नमेंट में भी हुआ. फॉर एग्जांपल, लेफ्ट पार्टी गॉट इनटू पावर इन तमिलनाडु और केरला. आई डोंट रिमेंबर. I think Nehru was the prime minister then. He got it dismissed. So he set the bad precedence here. जैसा नहीं कोई भी यहाँ पे धुला हुआ है दूध का. सेकंड, सुप्रीम कोर्ट इन नबम रिबिया केस. इट वाज अ रीसेंट केस. नबम रिबिया इन अरुणाचल प्रदेश. ही वाज द स्पीकर ऑफ द अरुणाचल प्रदेश लेजिस्लेचर. In that scenario, there was the governor presumed automatically that nobody enjoys majority, dissolve the legislature. The Supreme Court में नबम रिबिया appealed. Supreme Court said that governor is not the conscience keeper of the legislature. Governor cannot interfere with the functioning of legislature at all. Who shall function? Speaker. Within the house, the only powerful authority is speaker. Everyone is subordinate to speaker, including the governor who is outside here. Clear? So please remember this judgment. बाकी suggestion मैंने जैसा आपको बताया, पंछी commission has suggested that we should include impeachment provision just like the president. पर मैं भी मानता हूं president का कुछ ज्यादा ही strict provision है. How president is impeached? President is impeached by a majority. कैसी majority है? हाँ जी लॉयर साहब हंस लिए. कौन सी मेजोरिटी है प्रेसिडेंट को हटाने की? कौन सी स्पेशल मेजोरिटी? टू थर्ड किस चीज की मेजोरिटी? ये देखो पीछे पूछ रहा है। बोथ द हाउसेस तो ठीक है, पर किस चीज की? कैसी मेजोरिटी? फैक्ट्री मेजोरिटी टू एब्सोल्यूट मेजोरिटी, कैसी वाली? कोई रिवाइज नहीं कर। Present in voting. Total strength. Remember this, President of India has a unique majority not found anywhere in the Constitution. Only President of India is removed by 2/3 of total strength. It is the only one case for President. क्या? अरे मुझे सुनाई नहीं दिया, तुम पास जाता हो। Anyway, क्लियर हुआ सबको? ठीक है, अब अगला देखते हैं। तो बेसिकली he has suggested that Panchi Commission suggested please include this provision for governor as well. Second thing Panchi Commission said, whenever a governor is appointed, please take state chief minister to account, or in confidence at least. Last week, Panchi Commission, Sakarya Commission suggested they do not apply Article 356, deals with state emergency. President's rule, you call it. Chale, fine. So let me summarize this. Few things we need to understand. Number one, there is discretionary power with the governor. The president does not enjoy. Second, there is no qualification for appointment of the governor, so anyone can be appointed. The removal may the president enjoys absolute power. Because of these three provisions, the governor is a puppet of the union. And irrespective of the government in the union, they all abuse governor. The most abused position in India in constitutional history is governor. ठीक है, that is the conclusion. लिख देना governor के सामने. चलिए, तो next news, let us come. Voice of Global South Summit. A summit recently took place. It is a follow-up edition of the previous summit. It is hosted by India. It expands upon the inaugural summit in January, and around these countries attended. Not very important. What is important? What is Global South? It's a summit, as you can see, it's an Indian initiative to serve as unified platform for the countries of Asia, Africa, and South America. Basically, something you call what? Developing countries. And the philosophy of this summit was सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास और सबका प्रयास. क्या बात है? Philosophy I just speak. चलिए, so that is not very important. Understand the word global south. मैंने आपको बताया there is something called geographical south and there is something called global south. Global south is a political concept. It was coined by Karl Oglesby, जो भी है, ठीक है. This person coined this word in 1969 during Vietnam War. He argued the dominance of North over South has created intolerant social order. A Global South, basically understand, means the countries which are developing, former colonies or least developed countries. These all countries put together are Global South. They may be located in the northern hemisphere. That's India, China. These are the part of Global South. Australia is in southern hemisphere of Earth, but still it is a part of Global North. So there are two concepts. One is political north and one is geographical north. So geographical north is the above equator, but political north means developed countries of the world put together. यहाँ तक समझ में आया? And how we classify countries? There are three countries particularly: developed, developing, and LDCs. LDC मान होता है least developed countries है नेपाल, ठीक है. Developing जैसे इंडिया, developed जैसे अमेरिका and other countries. अब how we classify them? LDC सब याद रखिएगा प्रीलिम्स के लिए. LDC is a status given by United Nations. A country is called LDC as classified by United Nations. Second is developing. Developing is a country as decided by country themselves at WTO, World Trade Organization. So LDC is a status given by UN. Developing country is a status that is self-determined by a country at WTO, which anyone can challenge. China is calling itself developing in WTO. USA challenges this. It says China shall not be considered as a developing country in WTO. Outside WTO, China says I am a developed country. US says no, you are a developing country. Everything depends on politics. Within WTO, China claims I am a developing country. USA claims you are a developed country. Outside WTO, China claims I am a developed country, USA claims you are a developing country. Why? Because कंसीडर जो आपके मन में कंसीडर कीजिए, पर फायदा समझिए. Outside WTO, China claims I am a developed country because aura. जैसे मोदी जी claims ना अमृत काल आ गया है, वैसा वाला aura. To fool the people so that they forget the real issues of their life. That's why Xi Jinping, he is the brand of dictators. मैंने आपको समझाया था. A new brand of dictators have risen to power. They do not appear dictator to their people, but they curtail liberties, they curtail rights, and they impose their will. So Xi Jinping always talks about, a dictator में एक बड़ी खासियत होती है, they always talk about past. वो आपके फ्यूचर की बात नहीं करते, वो आपको पास्ट याद दिलाते हैं. देखो 50 साल पहले क्या हुआ था. They never talks about कि मैं 50 साल बाद क्या करूंगा. They always talk about 50 साल पहले किसी ने क्या किया. Xi Jinping always talks about something called century of humiliation. वो हर वक्त चाइनीज लोगों को याद दिलाता है that before the Communist Party of China, you were facing humiliation. He calls it century of humiliation. And he says, I am advancing my navy, not for aggression, but I will take revenge of that century of humiliation. Nobody can punish us. सबको मजा आता है ऐसी बड़ी बड़ी बातें सुन के. इंडिया में भी हम विश्व गुरु बन गए हैं with highest poverty on earth. ठीक है. तुम्हारा तिहाड़ में पक्का है रोल. So LDC is determined by United Nations. Developing countries status you determine at WTO. Developed countries anyone who LDC and developing countries. यहाँ तक clear है? What is Global South? It's a political term which emphasizes these countries, developing and LDCs put together. Global North are developed countries. Similarly, we have a classification in terms of first world, second world, and third world. Understand, India is often called as a part of third world, but it is not a negative term. It evolved in context of Cold War. Cold War में the countries which were capitalist, they were the first world. The countries which were the socialist or communist, they were the second world. And any country which did not join these two blocks were third world. But over time, what has happened? The third world has acquired connotation of negative sentiments. Third world means backward, deprived, developing LDCs. As such, this is not a negative term, but over time, it has become negative. Clear to everyone? So, दो चीजें हमें समझ में आई, global south, global north versus first world, second world and third world. ये चीज बस याद रखिएगा. And the word is coined by Alfred Sauvy. Who coined the word third world? Alfred Sauvy. Okay, these are the features of global south. We know they are low income countries. They are not strictly confined to southern hemisphere. As I told you, it's a political concept. Okay, nowadays it is often used as third world term, and they have largely shared history and challenges. They have colonial past. They have same atrocities. जैसे अगर आप अफ्रीका देखें, if you see at the map of Africa, you see the lines are very straight, border lines. Because Europeans put the map of Africa on a table, took a scale, took a pencil, ये लो हमारा map. They artificially created Africa's map. They divided tribes, they divided families between countries, and that's why Africa is very unstable. There are so many internal strife. The latest country in the world to be born is in Africa, South Sudan, 2011. और अभी भी वहां पे बहुत से रहे हैं. Because tribes में understand, Africa is majorly tribes. Tribes may they have an extreme loyalty to their tribes. Modernity has not penetrated their mind. Modernity means modern state. जैसे recent में हमारे कुछ soldiers मारे गए. I think आज news आई थी 5 या something soldiers. These people are dying for a boundary that is imaginary. Imaginary boundary. For example, our soldiers protecting our borders. These are imaginary borders created after or based on modern state concept. Treaty of Westphalia. नेचर ने तो ये बॉर्डर नहीं बनाए. These borders we have made. तो problem what is happening in Africa is Africa में people have not got this modern loyalty. They are not loyal to a boundary of nation. They are loyal to their tribe. That's why Africa में there are so many civil wars, because they are loyal to their tribe. They are not loyal to a border. जैसे we are loyal to a border called India, Indian border, Pakistan border, China's border. We are loyal to a modern border. They are not. Tribes में ये बड़ी चीज है. जैसे आप नॉर्थ ईस्ट में चले जाइए, नॉर्थ ईस्ट फैमिली ट्राइबल, they have extreme tribal loyalty. जैसे मणिपुर में देखिए what is happening. मणिपुर में there are 3 tribes fighting with each other. Methi, the majority tribe, is fighting with Kuki Nagas, the minority tribes. ट्राइबल लॉयल्टी बहुत हाई होती है बिकॉज ट्राइबल्स हैव नॉट बीन सब्जुगेटेड टू मॉडर्न फिलोसफी. व्हाट इज द मॉडर्न फिलोसफी? फिक्स्ड बॉर्डर स्टेट्स. ठीक है, क्लियर है सबको? प्लीज रिमेंबर दिस. एंड इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आपको पता ही है, इंडिया एडवोकेट्स रिफॉर्म्स इन मल्टीलेटरल इंस्टीट्यूशंस सच एज यूएनएससी, यूएन, आईएमएफ. इंडिया एम्स टू यूनाइट ग्लोबल साउथ. इसीलिए वी हैड दिस वॉइस ऑफ ग्लोबल साउथ व्हाटएवर. ठीक है, क्लियर? अच्छा, इसमें एक टर्म थी, ये मैं एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूं, नियो. There is a demand of global south since 1970s to establish new international economic order. They are asking that we have to rearrange this world international economic order. So if it is new, then what is old international economic order? यहाँ पे समझिएगा, the old international economic order is similar to current international economic order. What is the current international economic order? Neoliberal. The current international economic order is neoliberal. I told you the philosophy of neoliberalism based on the principles of Washington Consensus, the 10 principles that evolved in Washington, USA. What China is trying to do right now, China is trying to substitute Washington Consensus with Beijing Consensus. I told you, you have to control minds before you control bodies. So what China is trying to do, China is trying to substitute US philosophical framework of the world. If China is successful, then China would not have to capture the country. Countries will themselves obey China. जैसे आप लोग सोचते हैं that China is evil. हमारा केस तो चलो अलग है, we have a fight with China. But around the world, people are attracted toward USA, not China much. The reason is USA have a psychic control. Because USA controls all world corporations. USA controls media. USA controls social media. And the language you speak, मैंने पहले भी आपको समझाया था, the language you speak is English. So you understand America's narrative better than China's narrative or Russia's narrative. Because you don't speak Russian. अब imagine करते हैं, you only speak Russian. So you will understand Russia's sentiment better than America's sentiment. Language is the first point of culture. You destroy the language, you destroy the culture. That's how Britishers destroyed India. Remember Macaulay Manor हमने अभी discuss किया था. Lord Macaulay committee was appointed. The role the Lord Macaulay was given to see how we can colonize Indians. Because Britishers थोड़े से थे. They were fearful if all Indians come together, they can throw us out. So Macaulay suggested, first of all, kill their culture. And to kill their culture, kill their language first. So Macaulay suggested install English-based education in India. Once English will replace the native languages in India, automatically the Indians will be colonized. इसलिए आप notice कीजिए, इंडिया में जो moderates थे, moderates, extremist, revolutionary, 3 phases of Indian freedom struggle. The moderates, Dadabhai Naoroji kind of people, they were very much appreciative of Britishers. They used to appreciate Britishers as law-abiding, justice-loving people. Extremists like Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lal Bal Pal, we call them. They hated this notion. They started to bring change. और ये particularly कब आया था? With the discovery of Indus Valley civilization. Because before discovery of Indus Valley civilization, I think 1920s में discover हुई थी. हाँ, 1920s में. उससे पहले क्या माना जाता था? 1920s से पहले it was assumed that Indians are barbaric people without history. Britishers मान के चलते थे. Britishers used to say that we are in India not to colonize you or exploit you. We are in India to civilize you. Because you are the people without history, without civilization. लेकिन जब इंडस वैली डिस्कवर हुई 1920s में, उसके बाद डिस्कवरी स्टार्ट हो गई. We discovered Harappa, we discovered numerous sites, we discovered literature. तब हमें पता लगा that Indians are not without history. We have a long, rich cultural heritage. And who destroyed this? Lord Macaulay destroyed this. The English-based education destroyed this. They destroyed our culture. और इसीलिए we have still their morality. सबको समझ में? That's why we understand Britishers or Americans better than Russian, better than Chinese, better than even ourselves. We understand our culture less than their culture. उनका culture हमें ज़्यादा समझ में आता है. सबको समझ में आया? That's why the current international economic order is still neoliberal. The old international economic order was neoliberal. It could not change. Why? Because you understand American arguments better than your own arguments. तो आपको उनकी बात ज्यादा समझ में आती है. And they literally control the world psyche. Because of this, even when we demanded कि we need a new order, इस new order में क्या होगा? developing countries and developed countries will be equally respected. That was the first demand. Second demand, the MNCs, multinational companies of developed world, will not come into developing world and plunder their resources, and they do today. And what is a tool of plundering? Free trade agreements. Free trade agreement are a strong tool of plundering developing countries. कभी हमने समझा होगा सर न्यू colonialism. एक होता है colonialism. Colonialism means when one country capture another country politically and then economically exploit. Neo-colonialism came after colonialism when all the countries got independence, but capitalists को market चाहिए and they need labor. Capitalists need a market, labor and raw material, and these things are available with developing countries. So they changed the nature of colonialism from colonialism to neo-colonialism. In neo-colonialism, one country does not capture another country politically. Their MNCs, multinational corporation, come to your country, fund your political parties, influence your politician, then your politician changes policies that favors foreign corporation over Indians, over Chinese, over Russian, over Africans. India was saved because we had a closed economy, thanks to Nehru in this case. We had a closed economy, so we were saved. But entire Africa fell for neo-colonialism. This is what Rabindranath Tagore said, that Africa has fell for civilization's greed. Rabindranath Tagore in Ode to Africa, he said that Africa has fallen to civilization's greed because they exploited Africa, they divided Africa. India बच गया था because India was a closed economy. हमने allow नहीं करा foreign companies को India में. सबको समझ में आया? These all were the demand of new international economic order, but it never became the reality. And why it never became the reality? I told you, because Western country dominate the mental control over the world. You understand their argument better than your own argument. You think what they are saying is feasible, what your people are saying is not feasible. सबको समझ में आया? तो this was the news. चलिए अब next news पे आते हैं, PM किसान. नेक्स्ट है 5 मिनट्स का ब्रेक. हमें 2 न्यूज करनी है. 2 है कितनी है? 3 बची हैं. हो जाएगी, जल्दी हो जाएंगी. PM किसान. Recently, the Prime Minister has given the 15th installment of Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi PM Kisan scheme. It was introduced, आपको पता ही है, in 2019 to provide crucial support to land holding farmers. अब this is the biggest problem in India's agricultural policy. Term यही लिखा हुआ, land holding farmers. Why Punjab has a drug problem? Why Haryana is the most, you can say, notorious spoiled child of India? Excess of wealth without worth. They have wealth, but without worth. That is what Gandhi said. Wealth without worth is nothing. So what has happened in Haryana and Punjab is, we had land reforms. The purpose of land reforms was to take land from zamindar and give to the remaining people. Majority of the land went to the middle caste, not to the lower caste. Shudras were not empowered. OBCs were empowered. They got the land. Then came Green Revolution. The problem with government of India's agricultural policy is they recognize a farmer only based on land holding. If you have a land on your name, farmland, then you are a farmer. Majority of the people on farming business, they are non-land holding farmers, like laborers, agriculture workers. They are the majority, and 60% of rural workforce is women, and majority of them do not own a farmland. So even then, even when they are working on a farm, they do not receive government benefits. This has been always the problem of government's agricultural policy, that they identify farmers on the basis of land holding. That leaves 80% of agriculture farming community behind. This is the problem. What they give? 6,000 rupees per year in 3 equal installments using direct benefit transfer. What is the other name of direct benefit transfer? Jam Trinity. Jandhan, Aadhaar, Mobile. Aadhaar say you will be identified. Jandhan account mein your money will be transferred. Mobile say you can access your money. So Jam Trinity. Scope of the scheme. This all facts are prelims level. Please remember them as it is. 6,000 rupees, 3 installment using DBT. Second thing, it used to cover small and marginal farmers Who are small and marginal farmers? What is the definition? Less than 2 hectares. The farmers who have less than 2 hectares are known as small and marginal farmers. But now Modi government has expanded the scope. It covers all land holding farmers. Please remember this. Now PM Kisan scheme covers every farmers with a land holding. Only land holding. Means still it does not cover 70% of agricultural community. It covers only the people with land. Such chota ho chahe bada ho, doesn't matter. Funding and implementation. It is a central sector scheme. There are two kind of scheme we know: central sector and centrally sponsored. Central sector में central government gives the entire funding 100%. Centrally sponsored में the central government gives a partial funding and states contribute the partial funding. So it's a central sector scheme. It means 100% of the money from the scheme come from government of India itself. And who is the implementation agency? Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Ab who are excluded from this? Any tax paying farmer. Any farmer who is paying taxes is excluded. Any government employee is excluded. मतलब आपकी फैमिली में कोई गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय है तो यू आर नॉट एलिजिबल टू पीएम किसान. Professionals like doctors, engineer, teachers जो भी हैं, they all are excluded. So these are the three categories. Remember, these people are not the part of PM Kisan. Tax paying farmers, if anyone in your family particularly have land in his name, as well as a government employee, not covered, and professionals like doctor, engineers, teachers are not covered. Clear? These are the exclusion. Tax paying farmers जिनकी 5 लाख से ज्यादा होगी. Need for PM Kisan. We know 60% of the marginal farmers rely on. ये हमेशा ही प्रॉब्लम रहता है. और ये प्रॉब्लम क्यों है? Why the farmers have to depend? Informal credit means the money you take from your friends, relative, known people. Why this is a problem? It is very much exploitative. जैसे गवर्नमेंट क्या करती है? गवर्नमेंट says government do something called interest subvention. मान लेते you go to a bank and bank give you a loan at 6%. Government says I will pay the 4%, you pay 2%. So government gives your interest. This is called interest subvention. The purpose of this is to provide you cheaper credit. But एक problem आता है. Imagine yourself as a banker. A farmer comes to you. You have no record. That farmer does not maintain book of accounts. That the farmer does not maintain profit loss accounts. So you cannot find it clearly how much that farmer worth. So as a banker, you are concerned. अगर मैं farmer को loan दे दूंगा, maybe he may not return. हो सकता है that farmer will surely return. But still you will not give loan to the farmer because that farmer has no credible record. अब इसी केस में समझिए, you have a farmer in front of you and Vijay Mallya. Vijay Mallya will run with your money, but you will give money to Vijay Mallya than the farmer because Vijay Mallya ko you know his face, you have seen his as an MP of India. In that scenario, Vijay Mallya, even if he looted you and goes out of the country, you will give money to. इसीलिए होता है why these rich people get so much of money and they run out of India. Because they have a trust factor. You are a known face in the industry. Everyone knows, for example, Ambani. Ambani अगर जाएगा लोन लेने, कौन नहीं देगा? कौन बैंक उसे लोन लेने से मना कर देगा? Because everyone knows Ambani. हो सकता है Ambani भाग जाए कुछ दिनों बाद. Who knows? ठीक है. But इलेक्शन में जब बीजेपी हार जाए तो फिर अंबानी जी चले जाए छोड़ के, क्या पता. ठीक है. So हाँ, शायद पहले अडानी जा सकता. बट एक चीज हमेशा रखिएगा, ही इज सेइंग दैट अडानी विल गो फर्स्ट इफ बी कांग्रेस कम्स टू पावर. एक चीज याद रखिएगा, कैपिटलिस्ट लव नो वन, हेट नो वन. दे फंड एवरीवन इक्वली. द सेकंड कांग्रेस विल कम टू पावर, जितना पैसा वो बीजेपी को दे तुरंत कांग्रेस पे दे देंगे. एंड कांग्रेस लाइक अब आया मजा जिंदगी में. ठीक है. कैपिटलिस्ट अंडरस्टैंड, दे वांट अ गवर्नमेंट दैट सर्व्स देम. They don't care कि बीजेपी comes to power, कांग्रेस comes to power. They want a person that serves them. इसीलिए मैंने आपको बताया था सोशलिस्ट क्या कहते हैं. Socialist says that so-called liberal democracy is not a government of the people, by the people, for the people. It's a government of the capitalists, by the capitalists, for the capitalists. Because they literally control governments around the world. Anyway, so 60% of farmers depends on informal credit because accessing formal credit is very hard. They ask documents which farmers often do not maintain. They ask credit record and farmers sometime, maybe one or sometime, they must have defaulted. एक दो बार उन्होंने default करा ही होगा. In that scenario, they do not give loan to the farmers. Then farmer goes to whom? Farmer goes to informal money lenders. And those money lenders will charge you 20%, 30%. And that to cumulative interest, compound interest you call it. In that scenario, क्या होगा? You took 10,000 rupee. After few years, your interest on 10,000 will be more than 10,000. तो प्रिंसिपल तो भूल जाओ, पहले इंटरेस्ट ही पे करते. That's how the zamindar became powerful in India. They used to get your thumbprint on a paper and used to give you money, because everyone need money now and then for any purpose. Then you are unable to return the money. Then there was a simple logic: jar joru jameen. Give me the money, give me your wife, or give me your land. That's how they captured so much of land. Clear, everyone? Unlike that waiver scheme, input support scheme, maintain agriculture, ये भी common बात है. गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, आपने देखा होगा, whenever election comes, सब बोलते हैं we will waive the farm loans. It create indiscipline. अब imagine कीजिए आप farmer हैं, ठीक है, you are a farmer, you took a loan. जब आपको पता ही है 5 years after there will be election and the government will waive off my loan, तो आप पे क्यों करोगे? तो लाइक हम तो पे ही नहीं करेंगे. ऐसे सिनेरियो में बैंक को भी पता है that government after every 5 years will waive off the loan, तो बैंक आपको लोन भी नहीं देगा. प्रॉब्लम ये आती है, waiver are very bad. All political party, irrespective of their nature, promises agriculture farm loan waivers. They think that when I waive off, इससे वोट मिल जाएगा. वोट मिल जाता है. But the problem is, next time the bank will not give you loan, because bank is like, मुझे पता है आप लोन वापस नहीं करोगे. Intentionally you will not return the loan because आपको पता है every 5 years there will be election, some party will promise me loan waiver, तो मैं क्यों पे करूं? तो इससे क्या होता है, even the farmers who can pay will not pay. At least in PM Kisan ये नहीं होगा, because it is a money provided you irrespective of your credit. तो आपने जो लोन लिया है, you have to pay the loan, उसमें कुछ नहीं हो रहा है आपको. We are giving extra money. Clear? So it is good because it will provide money to the farmer who depend on informal sources. It's better than that waiver schemes, and it is crop neutral also. We are giving 6,000. It's up to you. You use it for what purposes. MSP है हमारे पास एक और mechanism. Minimum support price. Government of India declare MSP. I think 23 crops के लिए करती है. ठीक है. MSP Government of India declares. अब problem क्या है? You have 2 crops option. You can grow, मान लेते हैं, some pulse. A pulse which is good for your soil. Pulses have a bacteria called leguminous. These are called legume crops. They fixes nitrogen from the atmosphere. And because they fixes nitrogen from the atmosphere, which is majority in atmosphere, you do not have to use fertilizers like urea. The largest used fertilizer in India is urea, nitrogen source. And if you grow pulses, then pulses will fix nitrogen, and also pulses are protein rich. So they are good for health, they are good for environment. But you know that that Government of India provide MSP and effective procurement on wheat and rice. You can grow pulses, but still you will grow wheat rice. This is the problem. That's why Haryana and Punjab has destroyed itself by using wheat rice cycle. The soil in Haryana, Punjab is getting arid, losing its natural potential. Kyun? Because MSP is provided on 23 crops, but effective procurement happens only on rice and wheat. And you are a farmer, तो आप पे 2 ऑप्शन है. You grow pulses, जिसका आपको गारंटी नहीं whether you will get the good prices or not. You grow rice, जिसका आपको पता है government will give me this price minimum. This is the problem. It skews development, it skews production of crops. इसीलिए India has oil deficiency. You do not grow oil seeds. You grow rice, wheat. You don't like to grow vegetables because vegetable perishes easily and government does not provide MSP. So in that scenario, it is skewing of crop. We have to import so much of oil seeds around the world. We import so much. We can grow that in India, but because there is MSP, you don't grow. These are the problems with MSP. ये problem इसमें नहीं आएगी because it is a crop neutral. 6,000 रुपए दे रहे हैं, आप कोई भी crop उगा लो. ठीक है, तो these are the advantages. उसके अलावा आपको पता है it does not breach WTO subsidy limit. अब आते हैं स्टार्टिंग में जब मैंने आपको समझाया था that we live in a global world. It is better to call this global village rather than international relations. Why? Because you have institutions like WTO, United Nations, IMF, World Bank. They literally dictate countries. WTO में we have signed an agreement, जब economics में detail में करेंगे, agreement on agriculture. There's an agreement in WTO that we have signed known as agreement on agriculture. What is in this agreement? This agreement divides support or subsidy given by government to farmers into three categories: blue, amber, green. Subsidies are classified into blue, amber and green. इसमें नाम लिखा है एम्बर बॉक्स. अब प्रॉब्लम क्या है? एम्बर subsidies are any subsidies that directly influence production of crop. जैसे fertilizer में if I give subsidy, it directly changes the crop. I give MSP, it directly changes the crop. I give electricity subsidy, it directly changes the production. So any subsidy which directly impact production in agriculture are covered under amber box. And other subsidies, for example, research and development. You're giving subsidy for companies to develop new variety of crops. Something आप science and tech में पढ़ते हैं, genetically modified crops, जैसे BT cotton वगैरह. These things पे there is unlimited subsidy. And why is it so? Because this Aditi, the procurement हो नहीं पाता. Government देती है, pulses पे भी देती है. Government gives MSP on 23 crops including pulses, but the procurement है, that is only for wheat and rice. Their staple crop government often procure. Effective procurement is ये governance problem है, policy problem नहीं है ये. Clear? हाँ, so what I was saying, amber box. So there are three subsidies: green, blue and amber. Amber subsidies are the subsidies on which you have limit. What is the limit? Remember everyone, 10% for developing countries, 5% for developed countries, something we call TAMS, total aggregate measure of support. Total aggregate measure of support. At most, you can support 10% of entire production in developing, 5% of entire production in developed. A problem India में क्या है? India has a law known as National Food Security Act 2013 that mandates 67% of Indians must be given food by the government. For that, the government has to procure food, and procurement will directly change production, and so it will be covered under amber box. And if you violate the 10%, then what will happen? Any country of the world that is a member of WTO will drag India into WTO dispute settlement body. And WTO dispute settlement body will give judgment against India, and then those countries can penalize India in trade. This is the problem. Government often cannot give you food subsidy. हालांकि इसमें मैं आपको एक अपडेट बता दूं. In 2015 we got a guarantee from America. अमेरिका ने हमें गारंटी दे दी है कि until unless we deal with this problem. हमारा देखिए आर्गुमेंट क्या है? Our argument is very simple. You should keep food security out of this limit. हम कह रहे हैं keep 10%, 5%, but food security, that is the food that I am giving to my poor, shall be out of this limit. इस पे अभी negotiation चल रहे हैं, तो let's see when it will be resolved. But America has given guarantee to India in 2015. Until unless we resolve this issue, nobody will drag India into WTO, even if India violate 10%. तो सबको clear है? 10% limit is for everyone, but India has a special guarantee. The guarantee says that nobody will take India to WTO if India violates this 10% TAMS by giving direct support to agriculture, but primarily for food security. बाकी चीजों में नहीं. Food security में if India does, and India has to do it because we have a law called National Food Security Act 2013 that mandates 67% of Indian population shall be given subsidized food by the government itself. क्लियर है यहां तक सबको? तो पीएम किसान क्या करता है? पीएम किसान डेड वेवर से बेटर है. पीएम किसान इज क्रॉप न्यूट्रल. पीएम किसान डज नॉट वॉयलेट डब्ल्यूटीओ एम्बर बॉक्स सब्सिडीज. ठीक है. बाकी जो भी है लिमिटेशंस क्या है? लिमिटेशन आप समझ लीजिए. लिमिटेशन है इट डज नॉट कवर एक्चुअल इनपुट कॉस्ट. या 6,000 रुपए दे रहे हो तुम इस महंगाई के जमाने में, इतने में तो वो 2-3 पौए मार के सो जाएंगे. द प्रॉब्लम है 6,000 रुपीज टू लेस. It is insignificant in this inflation era. So it does not cover any cost. बस ये कहने को वोट बैंक पॉलिटिक्स में आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, otherwise it does not cover. Second thing, the challenges of identifying beneficiaries. The challenge you have here is you have to identify who is a farmer here, and you identify them using land holding that leaves tenants and sharecroppers. तो पहली प्रॉब्लम तो ये है कि डज नॉट कवर ऑल द इनपुट कॉस्ट, 6,000 rupees too less for input cost. Second, the challenges of identifying beneficiary. शेयर क्रॉपर्स क्या होता है, बिकॉज व्हेन वी वर ब्रिंगिंग फार्म, वो कहते हैं फार्म लॉज, सॉरी लैंड रिफॉर्म्स, तो लैंड रिफॉर्म्स के टाइम पे हमने ये डिसाइड किया था कि इफ यू द प्रिंसिपल गांधी गेव, लैंड बिलोंग्स टू द टिलर. पहले क्या होता था, यू आर अ बिग जमींदार, यू डोंट लिव इन रूरल एरियाज, आप अर्बन एरियाज में रहते थे, यू हैड अपॉइंटेड समबडी इन रूरल एरिया जो फार्मर्स पे ध्यान रखता था, जो आपके लैंड पे काम कर रहे हैं. इसे हम बोलते हैं एब्सेंटी लैंडलॉर्डिज्म. आप पढ़ेंगे मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री में, इसे हम बोलते हैं एब्सेंटी लैंडलॉर्डिज्म. इट वाज वेरी प्रैक्टिस्ड. हमने डिसाइड किया लैंड रिफॉर्म का प्रिंसिपल, गांधी गेव दिस प्रिंसिपल, दैट लैंड बिलोंग्स टू टिलर. जो व्यक्ति लैंड पे काम करेगा, लैंड उसका. So what farmers decided to do? Farmers were like, if I have a tenant, means a person who is working on your farm getting paid, उससे प्रॉब्लम हो जाता. तो हमने डिसाइड क्या करा, वी सेड वी विल नॉट पे यू इन मनी, वी विल पे यू इन कमोडिटी. आप आओ मेरे लैंड पे, यू ग्रो क्रॉप, whenever the crop is grown, कुछ पार्ट आपका बाकी मेरा. दिस इज कॉल्ड शेयर क्रॉपिंग. इट वाज अ वे टू अवॉइड लैंड रिफॉर्म्स. क्लियर है? आप जीएस पेपर 1 इंडिया आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस सिलेबस में है आपके, वहां पे आप डिटेल में करेंगे लैंड रिफॉर्म्स एंड इट्स इश्यू. वैसे लैंड रिफॉर्म आप 3 जगह पे करते हैं, पर्टिकुलरली इकोनॉमिक्स में, आपका पॉलिटी में भी करते हैं, और GS1 में भी करते हैं. क्लियर है? शेयर क्रॉपिंग एंड टेनेंट्स. सो लेट मी रिपीट, 6,000 rupee is too less to cover all inputs. Second challenge is identifying beneficiary, because government does not have a very credible record. So government identify people using land holdings, and land holding leaves the tenant, sharecroppers and anyone without land ownership. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया 60% of the women who are work. Fourth problem, because you deposit money in bank, तो बैंक क्या करता है, इफ यू हैव टेकन एनी लोन, वो उसमें से काट लेता है. तो you are a farmer who has taken a loan. As soon as government deposits 6,000 rupees, they are gone, because the bank adjusts that against your loan. So even though you are getting 6,000 rupees, पर आपको मिलता कुछ भी नहीं है. This is one problem. Another problem. और बाकी तो आपको बताइए unintended uses. ठीक है, आपको मिला किसी चीज के लिए, you're enjoying it for some other purposes. Clear है सबको? Schemes and problems. Online people clear? Any question? टैम्स है, रुकिए देख लेते हैं एक बार. हमने डिसाइड किया कि वट एवर सब्सिडी यू गिव टू फार्मिंग, हम उन्हें 3 हिस्सों में डिवाइड करेंगे, ब्लू, ग्रीन एंड एम्बर. अब एम्बर में वी कवर दो सब्सिडीज विच डायरेक्टली चेंजेस प्रोडक्शन. जैसे रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट डायरेक्टली डज नॉट चेंज प्रोडक्शन, दिस इज मनी गिवन बाय द गवर्नमेंट टू कॉर्पोरेशन फॉर रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट. फार्मर को डायरेक्टली नहीं मिल रहा. लेकिन एग्री आप फर्टिलाइजर सब्सिडी, सीड सब्सिडी, दीज आर यू आर गिविंग डायरेक्टली टू फार्मर इंक्लूडिंग एमएसपी. जिससे क्या होता है, फार्मर चेंजेस देयर क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न डिपेंडिंग अपॉन योर सब्सिडी. उस पर हमने लिमिट लगा दी. द लिमिट वाज 10% ऑफ टोटल प्रोडक्शन. मान लेते हैं इंडिया में वी आर प्रोड्यूसिंग 10,000 टन, सो 10,000 टन का 10% तक यू कैन गिव सपोर्ट टू द फार्मर्स. अ लिमिट हैज बीन फिक्स्ड. लेकिन इंडिया हैज अ नेशनल फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट. अब नेशनल फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट में गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हैज टू प्रोवाइड फूड टू 67% ऑफ इंडियंस. उसके लिए गवर्नमेंट हैज टू प्रोक्यूर फूड. If government procures so much of food from the farmers, it will directly violate 10%. This is the argument government is giving, that please exclude food security from 10%. सबको समझ में आ गया? क्लियर? चलिए, तो अब आते हैं नेक्स्ट न्यूज पे. व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट न्यूज? क्या है भाई? हाँ, देखिए इसके लिए गवर्नेंस इंप्रूव करना पड़ेगा. प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है, आपके पास एक तहसीलदार होता है लोकल लेवल पे. तहसीलदार बेसिकली लैंड रिकॉर्ड मेंटेन करता है. वो हाईली करप्ट लोग होते हैं. आप कहीं भी चले जाओ, तहसीलदार से करप्शन व्यक्ति. आप तहसीलदार ने पटवारी, आपको अमीर बनना है तो तहसीलदार पटवारी बनो. आईएएस बनोगे तो नहीं, अमीर नहीं बन पाओगे. आप पे नजर बहुत होती है लोगों की, लेकिन तहसीलदार पटवारी को कोई नहीं देख रहा. एंड दे लिटरली डू क्राइम्स. इसमें इतनी पावर होती है, इफ दे, आप मान लेते यू हैव अ फार्म लैंड और आपने उसे पैसे नहीं खिलाए, तो ही विल मार्क दैट लैंड एज अ रेसिडेंशियल प्रॉपर्टी. फिर लड़ते रहो केस. आप फार्मिंग कर ही नहीं सकते, इलीगल हो गई वो. तो प्रॉब्लम हियर इज, जो जमींदार वगैरह होते हैं दे आर पावरफुल, वो क्या करते हैं, जो तहसीलदार वगैरह होते हैं उनको खिला के रखते हैं, एंड दोस तहसीलदार नेवर रिकॉग्नाइज शेयर क्रॉपर्स, वो दिखाते ही नहीं कि यहाँ पे कोई और क्रॉपिंग कर रहा है, वो दिखाते हैं कि यही क्रॉपिंग कर रहा है। एंड मैं फिर बोल रहा हूँ, मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम इन द सोसाइटी आर गवर्नेंस प्रॉब्लम। पुलिस रिफॉर्म, जुडिशियल रिफॉर्म, ब्यूरोक्रेसी रिफॉर्म लाइए, मेजॉरिटी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगी। हाँ, क्राइटेरिया रहता है ना, पेन, पेन में इंक होनी चाहिए, बस लिख दो। नहीं, लिटरली नहीं हो पाता है, क्योंकि प्रॉब्लम क्या है इंडिया में, इंडिया में लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स आर नॉट क्लियर। द बिगेस्ट डिस्प्यूट इन कोर्ट अगर आप देखेंगे, मोस्ट ऑफ द डिस्प्यूट आर ऑन लैंड। लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स आर सो फजी इन इंडिया, एनीवन क्लेम एनीथिंग। और इसलिए द मोस्ट पावरफुल पर्सन बिकम तहसीलदार। अब उसने जिसके नाम पे लिख दिया वो लिख दिया। अब आपको सबूत करना है तो आपको कोर्ट में जाओ, आपको पता है हमारी जुडिशरी कितनी तेज काम करती है, आपके मरने के बाद आपके बच्चों तक जजमेंट दे देंगे वो। बिकॉज ऑफ दिस पीपल आर लाइक, भाई तू पैसे ले ले और कर देगा, एंड दे आर एक्सक्लूसिवली अंडर कंट्रोल ऑफ जमींदार्स। जमींदारी देखिए, फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं अपने बता रहा हूँ, कोई केसेस मत करना। माई ग्रैंड फादर वॉज अ जमींदार, ठीक है। वी हैड अराउंड 8 to 9 विलेजेस। मुझे नहीं, मैं नहीं रहा रूरल एरिया में, आई हैव लिव्ड माय एंटायर लाइफ इन अर्बन एरियाज, बट माय कजन्स हैव एंजॉयड दैट लग्जरी, ठीक है। तो ही ओन्ड एवरीथिंग, मतलब वर्चुअली आप कहीं भी चले जाओ सब कुछ आपका ही था। लिटरली ही वाज दैट रिच, माय ग्रैंडफादर, ही वाज अ जमींदार। और सोचिए, मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको अभी की बात, 2000 की, ही डाइड इन आई थिंक 2010 समथिंग, 2000 की मैं बात बता रहा हूँ। हाउ कम 1950 में भी विदाउट लैंड रिफॉर्म, 2000 में ही हैड 6 विलेजेस अंडर हिम। कैसे हुआ? पैसा, तहसीलदार, पटवारी ठीक है। तो अगेन मैं रिपीट कर रहा हूं, द मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम यू फेस, बीट सोसाइटल, बीट इकोनॉमिक, बीट पॉलिटिकल, दे आर द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ गवर्नेंस। गवर्नेंस रिफॉर्म हमें चाहिए, पुलिस रिफॉर्म, जुडिशियल रिफॉर्म, ब्यूरोक्रेटिक रिफॉर्म्स। और प्रॉब्लम हियर, नोबडी इज इंटरेस्टेड इन दिस रिफॉर्म, जो मैंने आपको हमेशा समझाया है। एवरीवन वांट रिफॉर्म्स बट इन अदर्स इंस्टीट्यूशन। ब्यूरोक्रेसी कहती है जुडिशरी में रिफॉर्म लाओ, जुडिशरी कहती है पुलिस में रिफॉर्म लाओ, पुलिस कहती है पॉलिटिक्स में रिफॉर्म लाओ। कोई ये नहीं कहता कि व्हाई डोंट यू ब्रिंग रिफॉर्म इन माय स्ट्रक्चर। आप किसी भी डीएम से पूछ लो, क्या डीएम की पोजीशन को हटा दें? दे आर लाइक, ऐसे कैसे हटा दें, मैं विद्रोह पे उतर जाऊंगा। विदाउट अबॉलिशिंग डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट, दिस इज ब्रिटिश एरा पोजीशन। जब तक आप इसे अबॉलिश नहीं करेंगे, यू कैन नॉट एम्पावर पंचायत। पंचायत एम्पावर नहीं होंगी तो यू कैन नॉट एम्पावर ग्राम सभा। ग्राम सभा एम्पावर नहीं होंगी, देन हाउ वुड यू एम्पावर पीपल? अगर ग्राम सभा एम्पावर हो जाए, देन पीपल विल डिसाइड देयर फॉर्च्यून। अभी कौन डिसाइड करता है? डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट। एंड हु कंट्रोल डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट? पावरफुल पीपल। दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम, वी नीड दिस रिफॉर्म, पर कोई लाना नहीं चाहता, ठीक है। एंड पॉइंट वहीं आएगा, और ये पॉइंट आप हर जगह लिख सकते हैं, गवर्नेंस रिफॉर्म, इरिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ द क्वेश्चन। अगर आपको सजेशन लिखना है, ऑलवेज पुट गवर्नेंस रिफॉर्म। ये एक ऐसा पॉइंट है, हर जगह लगता है ये, ठीक है। अगला क्या हो गया? यूनेस्को क्रिएटिव सिटीज नेटवर्क। अब ये क्या चीज है? यूनेस्को क्रिएटिव सिटीज नेटवर्क, रिसेंटली आपका कोझिकोडे, ग्वालियर हैज बीन एडेड टू UNESCO Creative Cities for Literature and Music. What is this creative city? It was created in 2004 to promote collaboration among cities for sustainable urban development. Basically, आप इसे ऐसे समझिए, urbanization plus culture. You have to preserve both. अब जैसे कोझिकोड has been recognized for literature. So Kozhikode government or municipalities, they will go for urbanization, but while conserving the system. जैसे आपने जयपुर वगैरह देखो, पिंक सिटी वगैरह, even though new modern shops have been created, but the same structure has been kept, same pink stone has been kept, because so as not to dilute its significance. सबको समझ में आ रहा है what is the purpose here? The purpose here is to achieve development, to have modern buildings, to have modern amenities, but without compromising with cultural heritage, the cultural features. We have created a category known as Creative Cities Network. Clear everyone? Basically, it is to collaborate among cities for sustainable urban development. The purpose is to promote cultural diversity and strengthening urban resilience. चलिए, अब एरियाज ऑफ एक्शन, एनुअल कॉन्फ्रेंस पढ़ लेना, बेकार चीजें, ठीक है। अब व्हाट आर द इंडियन सिटीज हियर? द इंडियन सिटीज आर कोझिकोडे, ग्वालियर, वाराणसी फॉर म्यूजिक, श्रीनगर फॉर क्राफ्ट एंड folk art, and Chennai for music. So these are the cities in UNESCO's Creative City नेटवर्क. और पर्पस सबको समझ में आया, डेवलपमेंट बट नॉट एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ कल्चर, नॉट एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ कल्चर. अब कोझिकोडे का सिग्निफिकेंस इसलिए है बिकॉज द फर्स्ट मलयालम नॉवल, ये याद रखिएगा, व्हाट इज द नेम ऑफ फर्स्ट मलयालम नॉवल? कुंदलता, ऑथर्ड बाय जो भी ये व्यक्ति है, ठीक है. दैट इज द रीजन इट हैज बीन गिवन लिटरेचर. अब आते हैं व्हाट इज यूनेस्को. यूनेस्को मींस यूनाइटेड नेशंस एजुकेशन साइंटिफिक कल्चरल organization. It is a specialized agency under United Nations Economic and Social Council. Because we know United Nations, थोड़ा सा मैं बता देता हूं because next news में भी काम आएगा. United Nations was created after किसके? Second World War. What is the philosophy? Yes. It was created because in 1917 there is a person called Woodrow Wilson. 1917 में Woodrow Wilson, the American president, he gave a speech to the Congress. Congress मतलब Parliament. Parliament of US. There he said that we are living in the era of balance of power. A balance of power has its foundation in Treaty of Westphalia. When 1648 में we signed Treaty of Westphalia, there we agreed on a principle of international affairs. The principle was balance of power. How it works? All countries will maintain roughly equal power so that nobody becomes aggressor. Balance of power means all countries will maintain roughly equal power so that nobody becomes an aggressor. If somebody becomes an aggressor, so all other countries will come together to punish the aggressor. जैसे World War I में you got all the countries came together against the central powers. Second World War में all the Western countries known as United Nations, उसी के नाम पे इसका नाम पड़ा है. Collectively they were known as United Nations. They fought against the Hitler, Nazi empires, Hitler, Italy and all these countries. So the principle here is nobody will become an aggressor. कैसे? Everyone will maintain roughly equal power. If anyone acquire too much power, then the remaining countries will come together and punish that power so that that will come back to normal. That is called balance of power. But it failed multiple times. First time, huh? वही मैं अब थोड़ा सा आगे आ रहा हूँ, रुक जाइए. So basically what happens is there is too much, but balance of power failed multiple times. First time it failed with the rise of Napoleon, because Napoleon rose in France and he became absolute dictator of entire Europe. He carried out more than 100 wars for fun. उसने war केवल fun के लिए करी थी, because understand, war में क्या होता है? War में nationalism comes into play. जैसे मान लेते हैं today you may be saying to the government, give me job, give me this, give me that. कल let's suppose we have a war with China. So you are like, नहीं, पहले China से लड़ लेते हैं, then we will deal with our problems. War is always a good way of distraction from people's issue, the way nationalism and religion works. सबको समझ में आया? तो Napoleon carried out more than 100 wars, not for any particular reason, but for keeping the French people aloof of their problems in the name of nationalism or devotion toward the nation. Clear हुआ? तो बहुत ऐसे incidents हुए when the balance of power failed. Ultimately, when World War I happened, then the world was like, we need new principle. This balance of power is not working. It is not maintaining peace in the world. Then Woodrow Wilson gave a new speech known as 17 points speech. In 1917, Woodrow Wilson, American president, gave a speech to the US Congress known as 17 point speech. In this, he listed 17 principles of new world order out of 17. अब मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा, 14, 14, जो भी आप चेक कर लेना. But in this speech, what he gave is, he gave few principles. The most important principle was, कहाँ गया, मैंने लिखा नहीं, collective security. सबको यहां तक समझ में आ गया? बैलेंस ऑफ पावर से वी मूव टू 14 है. फ्रॉम बैलेंस ऑफ पावर वी मूव टू collective security. What is collective security? Collective security means that the security of one person is the concern of everyone else. पहले क्या था बैलेंस ऑफ पावर में? You have to ensure your own security by achieving roughly equal balance of power. In collective security means that security of one nation is the security of every other nation. That is the principle of collective security. First institution we made on collective security was League of Nations. It failed. Then after Second World War we made United Nations. Philosophy यहाँ तक clear हुई? अब United Nations has only one responsibility. The one responsibility named is UN का सिर्फ एक ही पर्पस है. UN was created for only one purpose, to ensure peace and security in the world. Means a world free of wars. That is the only purpose. And for this, UN may we have created 6 organs. What are these 6 organs? One is known as International Court of Justice. Here only nations can go. Private parties cannot go here. Second, we created United Nations General Assembly. It's assembly where all the members of UN are present. How many members we have right now? 193. We have 193 with 2 observers. 2 observers are Palestine and Holy See, also known as Vatican City. Okay? Next institution we created was United Nations ECOSOC. This is called United Nations Economic and Social Council. सबको समझ में आया? It is an organ of United Nations. One is ICJ, UNGA, UN, ECOSOC or United Nations Economic and Social Council. The purpose of this body is to carry out economic and cultural activities and awareness and empowerment. Clear this much? उसके अलावा next organ is the most important organ of entire UN system. United Nations Security Council. This council you can call as the nucleus of UN. There are 15 countries as of now here. There are 15 countries in UNSC, out of which 10 countries are chosen on 2-year term and 5 countries are permanent. Those 5 countries enjoy a very special power known as veto. Any proposal, देखिए फिर मैं बस रिपीट करता हूं, UNSC is the nucleus of UN, is the nucleus of collective security. Under UN Charter, UNSC has been given power in Chapter 6 and 7. Chapter 6 and 7 says, if UN is of opinion that any country in the world is violating peace and security, it can take any action, including peaceful actions like negotiation, arbitration, coercive action like embargo on economic, rail trade, travel, or even military action using Air Force, Navy, and army. These powers are given only and only to UNSC. But UNSC mein you have a country, you have 5 countries known as P5. They can veto or they can prevent any action of UN. The first question is why P5? क्यों बनाया हमने P5? क्योंकि इसके बाद वाली न्यूज इस पे रिलेटेड करती है. Why we created P5? The reason was, whose idea is United Nations? US. Would Russia join this organization? Not at all. The reason was, जैसे आज मान लेते हैं China founds a new institution in the world. Would we join it? No. It is beyond our honor. अब what happened? It was a political compromise. America was of the opinion that if I do not give this veto power to particularly communist countries like Russia and China, then these countries will never join UN, and then UN will suffer the same fate as League of Nations. The reason for the League of Nations failure was that all countries of the world were not member of League of Nations. Just Japan was member. Germany was not allowed initially. By the time Germany joined, Japan left. So League of Nations failed because it was largely known as Anglo-French affair. It was largely UK and France who was running this body. USA did not join League of Nations. जबकि उसी का idea था ये. USA did not join League of Nations. Japan joined. All countries joined. Germany was not allowed to join because Germany carried out the First World War. It is blamed basically. By the time Germany was allowed to join, Japan withdrew and Japan captured Manchuria. Manchuria is a place in China. China appealed to League of Nations. Please protect my territory. League of Nations ordered Japan to withdraw. Japan is like, मैं सुनता नहीं किसी की, मैं अपने दिल की करता हूँ. And then when League of Nations pressurized Japan, Japan is like, जाओ मेरे को तुम्हारे क्लब से ही मतलब नहीं. Japan withdrew from League of Nations. और उसके बाद से nobody took League of Nations seriously. ये like तुम्हारे तो कोई सुनता ही नहीं, कौन serious लेगा तुम्हें? To prevent this kind of problems, we decided we want every country of the world in UN. But we knew Russia and China will never join UN until unless they get a promise. For this reason, we got veto power. सबको समझ में आया? अब प्रॉब्लम क्या हो गई है? Veto power the P5 countries enjoy. They can do anything in this world and nobody can punish them. अब मान लेते कल इंडिया carries out aggression in China. Carries out aggression in China. China can veto any resolution. जैसे मान लेते कल Israel and Hamas are carrying out a war. If government wants, if UN wants, it can penalize anyone, including Hamas and Israel. But problem is, Israel is a personal pet of America. America is a permanent member. It will veto every resolution. Same goes with Russia. Russia is in Ukraine. So Ukraine ko, if UN want to take action against Russia, Russia will veto immediately. This is the problem we are having in UN. That these 5 countries are creating a monopoly here. यहाँ तक सबको समझ में आया? बाकी चीजें हम बाद में समझेंगे. तो हमने कितने इशू पढ़ लिए? 1 2 3 4 5, एक कोई रह गया. हाँ, the last organ of UN is known as Trusteeship Council. Trusteeship Council. It was created for the purpose of having territories unclaimed by anyone. It is a defunct body. इसके पास कोई काम नहीं है, इसकी कोई मीटिंग होती भी नहीं है. Right now, only these 5 parts or 5 organs of UN are functioning. Out of which, what is the nucleus of UN? UNSC. ये चीज याद रखिएगा. सबको क्लियर हुआ? And one of the organ is UN ECOSOC. And UNESCO comes under UN ECOSOC. ठीक है, clear to everyone? अब थोड़ा सा देख लेते हैं. It is in Paris, France. It works basically, the entire purpose of UN ECOSOC and every body under UN ECOSOC is collaboration in the field of education, science and culture. It is also the member of United Nations Sustainable Development Group. It is a group created under United Nations of various agencies. What is specialized agencies? For example, CBI, ED, RAW. These are specialized agency of Government of India. Government of India is the organ of state. State ke we have 3 organs: legislature, judiciary, executive. Executive has a number of bodies, जैसे CBI, ED, police. Similar case यहाँ है. United Nations has 6 organs, and these 6 organs have number of specialized bodies carrying out specialized functions. All of them put together for development purpose is known as, clear हो सबको? United Nations Sustainable Development Group. Every body of United Nations within the organs created for the purpose of sustainable development are clubbed here. And UN ECOSOC is a member of United Nations Sustainable Development Group. So it operationalizes what? मैंने आपको बताया, there are some things which are very important. Some agreement at world level are very, 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 very important. One of them is Sustainable Development Group. इसको हमने few week back मैंने कम से कम 10 पेज के नोट्स इस पे बनाए थे, डिटेल में हमने किया था. और मैंने आपको सुबह बताया, उससे ज्यादा आपको कुछ नहीं चाहिए. If you want, you can revisit. I think मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा कौन सा था, but few weeks back we had a detailed analysis of SDG. All dimensions were covered. It was the biggest. I think 10 to 15 pages notes were there. तो अगर आपको करना है, आप रिविजिट करिएगा. उसके अलावा आपको एसडीजी पे कुछ नहीं चाहिए. ठीक है? तो एसडीजी पे इसी तरह से you have Sendai framework on disaster management. You have Paris agreement on climate change. These are the world's most important agreement. इनको तो आपको डिटेल में पता होना चाहिए, एक एक पॉइंट. क्लियर टू एवरीवन? ठीक है, देख लेते हैं. देयर आर 193 मेंबर्स विद 11 एसोसिएट मेंबर्स. अब आप कहेंगे यूएन के तो कुल 193 मेंबर्स हैं, यहाँ पे 193 प्लस 11 कैसे हो गया? Because you can become UN member, you can become UNESCO member even if you are a cultural organization. UNESCO में the people who are cultural organization can also become a member. इसके लिए nation होना जरूरी नहीं है. Cultural organization can also become member of UNESCO. इसलिए इतने सारे members हैं. जैसे मान लेते ISKCON temple. ISKCON is a cultural organization. It's a vast organization at world level. It can also become the member of UNESCO. सबको समझ में आया? तो these are not states. These are cultural organization, including states. एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे आपका कुकालैंड, न्यू एंड पैलेस्टीन, these are the member of UNESCO but not United Nations. Similarly, Israel, Liechtenstein, United States are not member of UNESCO but member of UN. Clear to everyone? Please इनको याद रखिएगा. Some other most important initiative of UN, UNESCO accept cultural city network, World Heritage Convention and list. आपको पता ही है, World Heritage Convention list is published by the United Nations, particularly UNESCO. UNESCO cultural heritage sites they are called. जैसे I think सांची स्तूपा मध्य प्रदेश में, that is also has a UNESCO list. आपके पास कल्चर शायद हिमाचल में जो वैली ऑफ फ्लावर है वो भी शायद मेरे ख्याल में इसमें लिस्ट में है, आप देख लेना. इंडिया में अराउंड India has around 40 World Heritage Sites, including 30 cultural, 7 natural, and 1 recent. में these sites were included. तो recent को याद रखिए. हरप्पा सिटी ऑफ धोलावीरा, ये आई थिंक कुछ मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा, वाटर का कुछ सीन था इसमें. हाँ कुछ, इट हैज सम स्पेशल फीचर्स. ऐसे आर्ट्स एंड कल्चर्स में प्रीलिम्स में क्वेश्चन आता है. समथिंग कम्स इन करंट अफेयर, जैसे ये साइट अभी रिसेंट में इंक्लूड की गई है, तो यूपीएससी विल आस्क अ क्वेश्चन, कंसीडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट अबाउट धोलावीरा. आर्ट्स एंड कल्चर क्वेश्चन, आपको पता होना चाहिए व्हाट इज धोलावीरा, व्हाट आर द स्पेशल फीचर्स ऑफ धोलावीरा. आई थिंक इसमें कुछ बिग बेथ था, कोई बड़ा सा, हाँ शायद पोर्ट था ये, मुझे एग्जैक्ट याद नहीं है, आर्ट्स एंड कल्चर में देख लेना. सो धोलावीरा हैज बीन इंक्लूडेड. सेकंड इज रमप्पा टेम्पल ऑफ तेलंगाना एंड कंचनजोंगा नेशनल पार्क सिक्किम. इट्स अ नेशनल पार्क. एवरीवन रिमेंबर नेशनल पार्क किसमें डिक्लेयर होता है? प्रीवियस क्लास में वी अंडरस्टूड अंडर विच लॉ वी डिक्लेयर नेशनल पार्क्स. बड़ी जल्दी भूल गए, प्रीवियस क्लास में, प्रीवियस में किया था हमने. वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट, वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट 1972. अंडर दिस वी डिक्लेयर नेशनल पार्क्स एंड वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरीज. व्हेन वी डिस्कस, इफ यू रिमेंबर प्रोजेक्ट एलिफेंट, तब हमने डिस्कस किया था इसके बारे में. ठीक है, तो इट हैज बीन डिक्लेयर्ड एज अ, please remember India has only one mixed heritage site, that is Kanchenjunga National Park. And now union government, union ministry of culture, India की जो ministry of culture है, it has nominated sacred emblems of Hoshiala Empire for site consideration. अभी ये हुए नहीं है, chances are that this will be the next to be included in World Heritage Site. Hoshiala Empire, आप arts and culture में करेंगे इसे. क्या हो गया, क्लियर? अगला नेक्स्ट वी हैव इज, तो वन प्रोग्राम ऑफ यूनेस्को विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज क्रिएटिव सिटी नेटवर्क. सेकंड प्रोग्राम इज वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट. थर्ड प्रोग्राम इज मैन एंड बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व्स. अब व्हाट इज बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व्स? बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व्स आर इकोलॉजिकल साइट्स ऑफ नेचुरल सिग्निफिकेंस. Ecological sites of natural significance. They are biodiversity hotspot of the world. If you protect them, you protect the world basically. So biospheres, the man and biosphere program of UNESCO, it basically aims to establish scientific basis for enhancing relationship between MAB program क्या है? Man and Biosphere program. It's a very important program of UNESCO that aims to integrate people, their development with cultural development and environmental development. Very, very important program. India has how many biospheres? 18. Out of which 12 biospheres are the part of MAP program. जैसे Valley of Flower आपका UK वाली उत्तराखंड, आपका Gulf of Mannar I think is also part, Sundarban ones, they all are the part of Man and Biosphere Reserve and Network. इसका फायदा क्या होता है? That whatever development, diversity that is present in this biosphere, they are connected with the world. We share knowledge with each other of preservation of collections. Clear? A very important program. In programs, you should know this program in detail. So तीन program हमने समझे अभी तक: Creative City Network, World Heritage Sites and Biosphere Reserve. उसके अलावा नेक्स्ट प्रोग्राम है इंटरनेशनल जियो साइंस एंड जियो पार्क प्रोग्राम. इट इज ऑल्सो प्रोग्राम अंडर यूनेस्को ग्लोबल जियो पार्क. दीज आर द लैबोरेटरी ऑफ सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट. बेसिकली वो हेरिटेज, कल्चर, एनवायरमेंट को लिंक करना है. क्लियर? चलो भाई लास्ट न्यूज पे आते हैं. यूनाइटेड नेशन इंटरिम फोर्स इन लेबनान, यूएनफिल, यूनिफिल. थोड़ी देर पहले हमने एक चीज समझी, that United Nations has 6 organs, out of which one organ known as United Nations Security Council. It is the nucleus of UN system. It operationalizes collective security. It ensures peace and security in the world. It has a problem called P5. P5 countries enjoys a power called veto. They can prevent any action of United Nations Security Council on them or their friend, जो भी केस बनता हो. अब this problem we were witnessing since 1950. Because with the end of second world war started Cold War. Cold War was a war between two ideologies. One is capitalism, other is socialism or communism. It was not a war between countries, it was a war between two ideas or ideology. Ideology means collection of ideas. So in that scenario, when this was not working, UN collective security was not working, there was a fear that the United Nations will become irrelevant like League of Nations. Then the world will witness Third World War. The only reason the world has not witnessed Third World War as of yet is only because of United Nations. Howsoever incompetent this body is, it has literally worked wonders in some cases at least. At least it has prevented Third World War. So what happened? UNFIL, जो हम बात कर रहे हैं, it is United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon. It is on basically border of Lebanon and Israel and Golan Heights. It's a place near Syria. इसमें मैप में नीचे है. It was established in 1978 by United Nations Security Council to serve as buffer between Lebanon and Israel along the line known as, prelims के लिए याद रखिएगा, blue line. ये prelims में पूछा जाए which of the following statement is true about blue line. So blue line is the name of the border between Lebanon and Israel. ठीक है, created by United Nations. जैसे what is the name of border between India and Pakistan? Radcliffe line. The name of border between India and Pakistan is known as Radcliffe line. Same India and Bangladesh. India China line is known as दो लाइन है. On अरुणाचल प्रदेश it is McMahon. यहाँ पे सॉरी अरुणाचल प्रदेश में it is McDonald. इन यहाँ पे मुझे कंफ्यूजन हो रहा है, एक मिनट. हाँ ठीक है. On Arunachal Pradesh side, it is McMahon. On Jammu Kashmir side, it is McDonald and Johnson line. नहीं सुना कभी? सुन लेना जब आप आया करोगे. हाँ, McDonald French fries. Anyway, क्लियर है ये लाइंस? प्लीज रिमेंबर. इसी तरह से पाकिस्तान अफगानिस्तान लाइन, दुरंद लाइन. They have a dispute over that. So what is the name of the border between Lebanon and Israel? Blue line. Established by whom? United Nations itself. It is the primary objective of UNIFIL is to confirm the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Lebanon, restore international peace and security, assist in Lebanese government of regaining the control. It is funded by a separate account. अब let's see what is blue line. मैंने आपको बता दिया. It is the border between Lebanon and Israel, including Golan Heights. Golan Heights which are near to Syria. ठीक है, please remember this. अब main चीज ये आता है, तो that was very basic. ये important part है for mains. UNPK, United Nations Peacekeeping Forces. अब ये क्यों बनाया गया? Remember P5. Cold War was going on. P5 के कारण यूनाइटेड नेशन वाज अ डिफंक्ट बॉडी. यूएस कोई प्रपोजल आता था, रशिया वीटो कर देता था. रशिया कोई प्रपोजल आता था, यूएस वीटो कर देता था. यूएन वाज नॉट एबल टू टेक एक्शन ऑन एनीथिंग. आप देखिए, सो मेनी वॉर टुक प्लेस. इंडिया पाकिस्तान वॉर, इंडिया बांग्लादेश वॉर, इंडिया चाइना वॉर. इन नन ऑफ दीज वॉर यूएन कुड टेक प्लेस. जबकि यूएन को किस लिए बनाया गया था? टू एंश्योर पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी इन द वर्ल्ड. So there was a Secretary General. The Secretary General, the Secretariat, the bureaucracy of UN is known as Secretariat General. The Secretariat of, जैसे आपका Secretariat होता है ना, every bureaucracy, Secretariat बोलते हैं उसे. The Secretariat of UN is known as, the chief of Secretariat is known as Secretary General. Secretary General is the chief of the Secretariat or the bureaucracy of UN. जैसे इंडिया के किसमें आप कह सकते हैं Cabinet Secretary. He is the chief of the bureaucracy of India. So that person was a person Dag Hammer SK Jold. ये बड़ा सा कुछ नाम है. Dag Hammer SK Jold was the Secretary General of UN. He thought, why shouldn't we have a force? That force, what will happen? Let's suppose there is a crisis. By the time United Nations Security Council discuss, debate, and approve an action, this force will go to the area and maintain peace. Then UNSC will discuss, debate, and whatever decision they will take, we will implement that. For that purpose, we created UNPK. Purpose clear hai? They are created for maintaining a buffer or a peace in the time the UNSC takes the final call. Because UNSC में debate, discussion, veto, seto खेलते रहेंगे वो लोग. It will take time, and in the meantime, people will be killed. So to protect them, we created UNPK. So it was established in 1945. देखिए कितना जल्दी early establish किया था हमने से. More or less आप मान लीजिए UN के foundation के time पे ही. ठीक है. They deploy military, police, and civilian personnel. They are appointed. Currently, world में 12 UNPK operations are going on. Around the world, there are 12 UNPK forces are available. And who provide troops here? Anyone. All the countries of the world contribute troops. India is the third largest contributor in the world in UNPK operation, and Bangladesh is the largest contributor to UNPK operations. Purpose clear hai? It is created to maintain peace, stability, security till the time United Nations Security Council takes the final call on the dispute. अब context of UNPK मैंने आपको बता ही दिया, because United Nations Security Council was created for international peace, and it has been given power under Chapter 6 and 7 of the UN Charter. Chapter 6 gives power to United Nations Security Council to take peaceful measures. Peaceful measures like negotiation, mediation, arbitration, referring matter to ICJ, investigation dispute. Basically, solving the drama. Act like a mediator, bring warring parties together, solve that drama. जैसे मान लेते हैं Hamas and Israel. Bring Hamas and Israel together, sit on a chamber, discuss, debate, and find a solution. Peaceful measure. If peaceful measure does not work, then comes Chapter 7 into play. Chapter 7 of UN Charter or Constitution of the United Nations. It gives power to United Nations Security Council to mandate partial or complete disruption of economic and diplomatic relations. Means it can isolate any country in the world. It can mandate that this country said nobody will trade, nobody will talk, and such country will die anyway. Because globalized world में you need things. जैसे इंडिया पे मान लेते हैं अगर ये हो जाए तो हम तो वैसे ही मर जाएंगे. Because 85% of India's energy is imported crude oil. वो नहीं आएगा तो हमारी इकोनॉमी नहीं चलेगी. इकोनॉमी नहीं चलेगी तो बिजली बिजली कुछ नहीं चलेगा. तो this is they can do under Chapter 7. Second thing, if they think that this does not like to work, they can even impose embargo in your rail, road, sea, and space. So these are vast power to UN. And prevent या bar. अब Article 42 of the UN Charter says, if Security Council feels that above methods are not likely to work, then it can take action by air, land, and sea forces. So pehla stage, Chapter 6, peaceful measures. They don't work, then Chapter 7, actions, sanctions, not military sanctions, sanctions. If they do not work, then Article 42 that mandate military actions. यहाँ तक clear हुआ? ये मैंने आपको बता दिया who coined this? SK Jold. Because these provisions were not working, veto power was used. So Dag Hammer SK Jold, the then Secretary General of United Nations, he helped creating UNPK. UNPK is basically aimed to prevent any escalation of the dispute until UNSC takes the final call. India's commitment मैंने आपको बता दिया. India is the third largest contributor to UNPK operations. Third largest contributor. And that's why India has even got Dag Hammer SK Jold Award. इसके नाम पे we have created an award. Anyone who contribute to the peacekeeping forces, they are given an award for their recognition. India has got this award known as Dag Hammer SK Jold Award on the name of that person. Philosophy क्या है इसकी? जल्दी से philosophy समझते हैं. There are three philosophy or the foundation principle of UNPK. First is consent of the parties. UNPK operation will be implemented if all parties agree. कि हाँ भाई we want a third party mediation. यहीं पे आता है इंडिया पाकिस्तान. Pakistan wants a third party in India-Pakistan dispute. India is very clear that in Shimla Agreement of 1972, Pakistan agreed that all dispute between India and Pakistan will be bilateral. We don't want third party. But Pakistan को पता है देखिए, a negotiation between a powerful and a weak means powerful will dictate the terms. And Pakistan को ये बात पता है. In bilateral negotiation between me and India, India will dictate me. So Pakistan चाहता है कि there should be a third party. पहले वो चाहता था US should be the third party, but अब US पाकिस्तान के साइड नहीं है. US is with India. So it will want China or Russia to become the third party. Something India will not allow. इसलिए हम बात ही नहीं कर रहे हैं. सबको समझ में आया? So this is the consent of parties. If all parties agree, you can have UNPK operation. Second, impartiality. Remember, the peacekeeping forces are always neutral. इसीलिए they are brought from third country. मान लेते हैं if India Pakistan has a warring scenario, UN will send PK forces, but none of the people in PK forces will be from India or Pakistan. They will be from third country because those third country people will be neutral. You may be invested in India's interest. Pakistani soldier will be invested in Pakistan's interest, but the soldier of third country, they don't care about both. वो दोनों को बराबर देखेंगे. So impartiality is a principle. UNPK shall maintain impartiality. They don't support any side. They just maintain peace. Third thing, no use of force. UNPK are not there for a war. They are there to prevent a war. So they do not use force unless it is for their own security or mandated by UNSC under Article 42. सबको समझ में आया? तो UNPK इसलिए आप ज्यादा इनका नाम नहीं सुनते because UNPK are present in dispute topics, but they are a silent party. They just try to maintain peace. They try to develop. They try to protect civilians. उनका यही काम होता है. They don't take part in the war. इसलिए nobody touch UNPK. आप warring scenario में देखेंगे the blue helmet जिसमें UN लिखा होता है. It is often found in war, civil war or otherwise. They are found. Nobody touches them. Both party और जितनी party वहाँ पे involve होंगी, nobody touches them. The reason is they are not a party to any war. They support nobody. They just protect civilians, kids, women, young or elderly people. They provide them security. They provide them compound. They provide them food, and they try to bring peace. They never participate unless UNSC mandates under Article 42. क्लियर है यहां तक सबको? अब एक प्रॉब्लम समझते हैं. दिस फिलॉसफी यूएनपीके वाली, दिस वाज क्रिएटेड इन 1945. 1945 में there was a common sense in the world that states are sovereign. Remember Westphalian notion? It was a common sense. लेकिन this common sense prevailed till 1991. 1991 में USSR got disintegrated. Since USSR's disintegration, what we are seeing in the world is war between countries are less, war within countries are more. Around the world, riots, crimes, civil wars within countries have increased multiple times. But there is a problem because UN was created in 1945. 1945 में states are sovereign as per Westphalian Treaty was a common sense. So the foundational principle of United Nations, Article 2, Clause 7. Article 2, Clause 7 of UN Charter clearly says that UN cannot intervene in domestic affairs. This was the definition of sovereignty. That and it represents which philosophy? It represents Westphalian world order. सबको समझ में आया, इसलिए मैंने आपको स्टार्टिंग में समझा दिया था. Westphalian world order that established sovereign nation state as the part of international community. UN was founded in 1945. So the people of that time had that philosophy. They created UN and they added one article, particularly Article 2, Clause 7, that clearly says that UN shall not intervene in domestic affairs. But since 1991, disintegration of USSR, we are seeing riots, civil wars within countries. But UN Charter does not allow UN to intervene. अब ये बन गई बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम, पर्टिकुलरली किस केस में? रवांडन जेनोसाइड. रवांडा में तुत्सी मेजोरिटी ट्राइबल, मैंने आपको बताया ना, अफ्रीका में ट्राइब लॉयल्टी इज वेरी हाई. द ट्राइब ऑफ रवांडा, और इसका आप पैरेलल क्रिएट करिए. हु क्रिएटेड रवांडन जेनोसाइड? रवांडन रेडियो. देखिए, पॉलिटिशियंस आर इडियट एवरीवेयर. They are venomous, poisonous toad everywhere. But problem was, I am a politician. I say venomous thing. It does not reaches to the people. But by that time, Rwanda mein there was a radio, Rwandan National Radio. So I, as the leader, a radical leader, I sat in a chamber. जैसे मोदी जी मन की बात करते हैं ना, he sent his voice to the people. Similar scenario mein, the leaders of Rwanda sat in their chambers and they said things on radio, and every house had a radio. So the people were radicalized. Remember, if genocide took place in Rwanda, people were killed. They were killed not by the politician of Rwanda, but by the Rwandan radio. Rwandan radio provided mechanism, tool to the politician to sow hate in the mind of the people. और मैंने आपको बताया genocide के 4 stages होते हैं. First, find a community. Second, blame them for every wrongdoings in your country. Third, desensitize the people toward that community. Fourth, genocide. That is automatic. अगर आपने 3 स्टेज कर ली, चौथी अपने आप हो जाती है. That's why you see lynching. इंडिया में कई लोग क्या होते हैं? You are traveling with some food, they lynch you. They don't care. You may be the only sole earning person of your family. A lot of people may be dependent on you. For them, you are nothing more than an enemy, a cockroach that must be killed. This kind of insensitivity is grown in Rwanda. And Rwandan radio took it. And some scholars say Indian media right now behaving like Rwandan radio. मैं ऐसा कुछ नहीं कह रहा हूँ. ठीक है? Then in 1965, United Nations General Assembly passed a resolution. पहली प्रॉब्लम क्या थी? To intervene in domestic affairs. Article 2, Clause 7. Second प्रॉब्लम थी आपकी 1965 UNGA resolution. This resolution says that no state or group of state have the right to intervene directly or indirectly for any reason whatsoever in internal affairs. This resolution clearly says that nobody can interfere in internal affairs of a state at all. Again, it is based on the philosophy of Westphalian world order, where states are sovereign. Second thing, if anyone intervenes, anyone means United Nations or any other country, if they intervene in the domestic affair, it will be considered as an attack on cultural, political and economic personality. जैसे कई लोगों से बोलते हो ना, अपने काम से काम रखो, मैं कुछ भी कर रहा हूँ, it's my life. ठीक है? If somebody try to take you on the right path, you are like, तुम्हारी हिम्मत कैसे हुई मेरी पर्सनल चीजों में इंटरफेयर करने की? Same thing what country were saying. If you dare to interfere in my domestic affairs, I will consider it as an attack in my cultural, political and economic personality. And no state shall organize, assist, tolerate any subversive or armed activity aimed to overthrow government in other state. Last point, no state can use coercive method on other state. So these principles, if I make a summary, if I combine these two things, 1965 UN resolution and Article 2, Clause 7, it becomes very clear that UN cannot intervene in domestic affairs. When Rwanda mein genocide was taking place, same Yugoslavia mein when it was happening, UN kept on debating on these two things. And it attracted so much of criticism of United Nations in academic circle. They criticized UN vehemently because Rwandan genocide was very bad. For the first time, rape was used as a systematic tool of genocide. पहली बार इतना common place में इस्तेमाल हुआ था. There was, अगर आप documentary देखेंगे रवांडा की, it's horrific. There were some women who were raped 2,000 times every week. How? Rape, you go to farm, rape, you go to farm, you rape, you go to farm. Rape was used as a systematic tool. When these pictures came out, these videos came out, these documentary came out, there was so much of criticism of United Nations, particularly P5 countries. They were criticized a lot. कि तुम कर क्या रहे थे? People were getting killed, raped, maimed there, and you were sitting debating कि भाई ये principle लगता है क्या? ये वाला लगता है क्या? ठीक है? This was the problem. Then came Canadian government. Canadian government Canadian government established a commission. That commission was given one task: reinterpret the word. कहाँ गया? Sovereignty कहाँ लिखा है इसमें? ऊपर है. अरे यार तुम डिसाइड कर लो ऊपर है नीचे. I think नीचे ही होगा. हाँ ये रहा. Sorry. Canadian commission was appointed. It was given only one task. The task was to reinterpret the word called sovereignty. Because before this commission, how we understand sovereignty? In the Westphalian notion. The Westphalian notion of sovereignty says states are sovereign in world affairs and nobody can intervene in your domestic affairs. Canadian Commission reinterpreted the word. मैंने आपको हमेशा समझाया, reality is what you believe. These are based on theories and concepts. So हमने word का मतलब ही बदल दिया. इस बार हमने क्या मतलब रखा? Sovereignty means responsibility. पहले आप क्या समझते थे? Sovereignty means right. Sovereignty is a right of a nation to be not touched by another nation. इस बार हमने उसे बदल दिया मतलब को. The new meaning is sovereignty of a nation is a responsibility, not a right. What kind of responsibility? Responsibility to protect its citizens. पहले sovereignty was a right to not be touched by another country. Remember 1965 resolution. This time we reinterpreted the word sovereignty after Rwandan genocide. The word is sovereignty is no longer a right of a country. It is a duty. It is a responsibility of a country to protect its own citizens. And if it cannot protect its citizen or become aggressor on its citizen, it will be assumed it is not sovereign. सबको समझ में आया? Sovereignty is if you are protecting your citizens. If you do not protect them or you become aggressor, then the United Nations, the international community will assume you are not sovereign. Then Article 2, Clause 7 does not apply. 1965 Charter or 1965 resolution does not apply. Because वो किस पे apply करता है? They apply to sovereign states. But हमने जो word को reinterpret करा, इसके तहत if you are not protecting your people or you become the aggressor, then you will not be assumed sovereign. Then it will be the duty of international community to protect your citizens. This concept is known as responsibility to protect. Concept सबको समझ में आया? So it was a very good evolution in United Nations history that literally changed the meaning of the word sovereignty. इसीलिए मैंने starting में कहा था, we are living in a global world. Right now, agreed, nations are the most important actor of world affairs, but still there are so many concepts, so many ideas that limit the ability of the governments to behave the way they want. पहले absolute होता था. तो इससे एक बात clear हो गई, if you become an aggressor or you commit a genocide or you do anything as happened in Rwanda and Yugoslavia, then United Nations can intervene because you will not be considered sovereign for the purpose of Article 2, Clause 7. And if Article 2, Clause 7 does not apply to you, then 1965 resolution also does not apply. And so UN can intervene. Clear? अब आता है abuses. Who is the biggest bully on earth? America. America was like, ये तो बड़ा मजेदार concept है. तो अमेरिका ने क्या करना शुरू करा? America blamed everyone on earth. Saddam Hussein, you are not sovereign. Afghanistan, you are not sovereign. Libya, you are not sovereign. This was the problem. कि हम concept तो बहुत प्यारा था, लेकिन America came and America started blaming everyone, particularly dictators he hated. Saddam Hussein, I think Libya, इराक में, लिबिया में कौन था? मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा, जो भी था. So what happened is they blame that dictator कि भाई you are not sovereign because you are not protecting your people. On the contrary, you are hurting your people. So America took this excuse and America carried out unilateral invasions. The last one was in Libya, when Libyan government was toppled by America on the blame that under R2P, Libya is not sovereign. And so Article 2 Clause 7 does not apply to Libya. And so 1965 resolution does not apply to Libya. We can intervene. अब इससे क्या हुआ? There was so much criticism. There was so much criticism again for America. फिर कंसेप्ट बदल दिया गया. अब जो नया कंसेप्ट आया है, जो लास्ट है, यस, अमेरिका सुपर पावर, बुलीज. देखिए, अंडरस्टैंड क्या होता है. अमेरिका हैज इंटरवीन मल्टीपल टाइम विच वर नॉट अप्रूव. जैसे अफगानिस्तान में व्हेन अमेरिका इंटरवीन, इट वाज अप्रूव्ड बाय यूनाइटेड नेशंस. व्हेन इट इंटरवीन इन इराक, इट वाज नॉट अप्रूव्ड बाय यूनाइटेड नेशन बिकॉज इट्स सुपर पावर. क्या कर लोगे आपस का? तो क्या कर लोगे? अमेरिका के सामने कोई कुछ नहीं है. अंडरस्टैंड, रशिया तो पहले में सुपर पावर है ही नहीं. अमेरिका व्यू रशिया, कभी आयर पढ़ेंगे तो मौका लगेगा तो पढ़ेंगे. अमेरिका, जो बाइडेंस व्यू, अमेरिका व्यू रशिया एज अ डिक्लाइनिंग पावर ऑफ ग्रेट मिसचीफ. दिस इज अ डेफिनेशन अमेरिका गिव टू रशिया. अ डिक्लाइनिंग पावर ऑफ ग्रेट मिसचीफ, मतलब शरारती लौंडा है वो, कहने का मतलब. ठीक है, वो केवल शरारतें कर सकता है, परेशान कर सकता है, लेकिन कुछ कर नहीं सकता. चाइना के केस में दे बिलीव इट्स द रियल एनिमी. अमेरिका करंट बिलीव जो है, तो चाइना को आप कंसिडर कर सकते हैं. बट रिमेंबर, वेदर यू लाइक इट और नॉट, वी लिव इन एन अमेरिकन मेड वर्ल्ड एंड अमेरिका इज अ इनडिस्प्यूटेड लीडर ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड. चाहे आपको बुरा लगे चाहे अच्छा लगे, यू कैन नॉट डू एनीथिंग अबाउट अमेरिका. इट डू वट एवर इट लाइक्स. दिस इज वन ऑफ द रीजन दैट यूनाइटेड नेशन इज क्रिटिसाइज अ लॉट. क्लियर है? ऊपर से वो P5 मेंबर भी है, क्या बिगाड़ लोगे तुम उसका? ठीक है, एनीवे. So responsibility to protect. When आपको मैंने बताया, when Libya में it happened, there was too much criticism of this principle. A new principle was evolved by Brazilian government. The principle was, अब ये क्या ड्रामा है? So what will happen if you commit a genocide or you are unable to protect your people? Then the world will assume that you are not sovereign. Then they will intervene. But while intervening, they will obey some laws. That is called responsibility while protecting. सबको क्लियर हो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी? पर कुछ प्रिंसिपल जल्दी से देख लेते हैं. द थिंग इज, देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन कलेक्टिव सिक्योरिटी एंड कलेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. कलेक्टिव सिक्योरिटी यूएन का है, कलेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी R2P. Responsibility to protect doctrine is known as collective responsibility. It is the collective responsibility of entire world to protect the citizens of every country. If that country, that government of the country cannot protect its citizens, then the world will protect their citizens. That is R2P. So this principle says there is a difference between collective security and collective responsibility. When you're operationalizing collective responsibility, you must obey international laws. You must obey ethical laws. You must obey other forces, because war में बहुत ड्रामे होते हैं. Please keep this in mind. Whenever there is a war, there is a lot of cost. There should be comprehensive and judicious assessment of the cost of military action. The action should have clear guidelines. It should not go beyond mandate, and there should be clear guideline. And anyone who violates the guideline must be. So these are the points of responsibility while protecting. तो जल्दी से मैं एक समरी बोलता हूँ, then I will end. सबसे पहले आता है आपका collective security. When collective security failed comes UNPK. When UNPK could not intervene in domestic affairs, then comes R2P. When R2P was abused by America in Libya, then comes RWP. Responsibility while protecting. Evolution clear है सबको? That's how it is. चलिए. So we had this for you today. I hope you liked it. Bye bye. We will meet again. मुझे एग्जैक्ट तो याद, आप वो आता है ना उसमें टॉपिक्स में आप देखिए, उसमें होगा हेडिंग, मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा. आपके पास वो है? सबके पास नोट हैंडआउट्स तो होंगे. तो उसमें एसडीजी में 12-13 पेज का है, वो कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव है. इनमें से किसी ले लोगे, इन पे मिल जाएगा, नहीं मिले तो मुझे बताना फिर, ठीक है। यस, वेरी वेलकम अदिति, बाय बाय, मिलते हैं फिर अगली बार।